Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Cardboard Hands podcast. We are back again with another week. It is me, Josh, the old card shop, and my good friend Retrospecs, Mr. Nick, Son Goku, going today, whatever he's going by these days. But how you doing today, Nick? What's going on?
I'm doing good. You're looking pretty snazzy. You're looking like one of those dudes from Hawaii Five-0 or whatever that show was.
Yeah, I can't keep it up for very long. They got to come off. But I
No, you
wanted
look
to.
like a badass, like one of those cops in like a sunny state, like a Miami or California. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I'm just rolling in from doing some errands and stuff, so I kind of have that outside energy coming in. I was feeling a little bit more like down today, not down like depressed, just not really feeling the Pokemon vibes. And we have a podcast to run weekly about mostly Pokemon cards. And last week we didn't really talk a lot about Pokemon cards, so this week I wanted to reward the viewers and help myself get back into it by doing a Pokemon special, as it were. So this week you guys are in for a bit of a treat, something a little different. I mean, we always talk about Pokemon cards, but sometimes it's a little bit more of an emphasis on other things. This time it's going to be a pure nostalgia episode. We're going to be going through some interesting topics today. Some things kind of lead you down memory lane, including some of maybe our most impactful hobby moments, some of the memories we have, core memories and things that we want to share in the podcast, maybe to just kind of get the conversation flowing sort of that direction. And then we're going to talk about some of the best sets of all time and what they have in common, and sort of try to dissect what it really means to be the best of all time when it comes to a Pokemon set. Then we're going to go right into a tier ranking chart, which we do once in a while. This time a fun one with the best gold stars of all time. We want to see, kind of get to the root of what the best gold star is, just speaking like out of popularity and art and just desirability, not necessarily rarity or population or anything like that. And then we're going to, if we have time, if time permits, if the mood is there, we have a bonus topic that we're not going to spoil yet, but we may possibly, if we're not over 2 hours, try to dive into. And then with our last topic, invest, flip, or skip, we have a good one, a kind of nostalgia leaning one towards the end there, and we'll finish with that. So that's kind of what's in store. But without further ado, let's get into it. Let's just kind of go right into the normal shenanigans. I kind of spearheaded it a little bit.
Real quick, I have to ask: do you wear those glasses when negotiating with your distributor? Because I feel like you could get a pretty good deal. You roll up with those babies on, looking pretty sharp, looking kind of menacing a little bit, and you're like, tip down the top of the glasses a little bit, and you said what?
I don't know how menacing the Mickey sunglasses quite are.
Okay.
The last time I was in Disneyland, I broke my sunglasses, and so I had to buy some of the park ones. And so I've been rolling with these for a few weeks now. So I don't know how menacing that's gonna be.
Yeah, they look cool. I didn't realize they were Disney sunglasses. They looked more menacing from far away. But it was funny, dude. When we were on one of the hikes to the waterfalls in Hawaii, we found this pair of glasses just like chilling, and like they had dirt on them and stuff, but like somebody had like forgotten their glasses, so like I washed them off. And it's like for the longest time I was thinking of like because I watch a lot of tech and sports content, and like one of the things he always says is like, guys, why as resellers are we not doing, and then like XYZ. And so I was like, oh man, we could make like parody content, because he will go, like he'll be on a walk with his wife, and they'll see like trash on the side of the road and pull like $300 worth of like play school toys out of it or something, and like crazy
that
stuff.
That poor woman,
dude. She runs an eBay store too, but it's nuts, man. And so he's always like, guys, why as resellers are we not doing this? And so I was like, but again, he's pulling stuff out of crazy, so I was gonna make like a joke like, guys, why as resellers are we not finding used sunglasses on hikes and selling them on auction? Like just all this, like I was gonna make a whole video of just like goofy stuff. Like the other day I was mowing my lawn and I felt a soft patch of grass. I started digging, found a pirate chest or whatever. There's gold in it. Like, guys, why as resellers are we not digging for buried treasure? Like, just dumb, just like dumb stuff or whatever. And he's like, my cost basis on this is 0. Like,
Oh,
just
God.
anyways, probably no one thinks it's funny but me. But anyways, we'll be auctioning those sunglasses off so I can make a whopping $5. But I don't know. Just anyway, yeah. But I don't even know where that came from. That was
No, that's I mean that is funny. I think that there's more than just you that would watch that, because that's just really really silly and hilarious.
It
But
is amazing, dude. He'll go to gas stations and find like hats in bins and like flip them for 3x. And I'm just like, dude, this guy is a savant or something. Like, it's insane. I mean, he lives in Florida, so there's a lot of like trendy clothing around, I guess. But man, I got Prince. His content is super entertaining. So, anyways,
he's the other side of what used to be the what's the dude Chris from
Daily Refinement.
Daily Refinement. Yeah, they used to have a podcast. I think it was called the Reseller Podcast or something. And I actually used to follow them when they had that together. When they kind of split off and stopped doing that, whatever, I actually, not because of it or anything, I kind of stopped listening to them a lot. I love their content. I just feel like it's the same thing every single time. It's literally the same concept. So it's great concepts, but it's just hard to, after you watch it for a month or so, it's like the same thing hammered in. So you kind of take a little break and maybe go back to it. That's the way I've kind of approached that before.
The reseller stuff is, like you said, it's a lot of the same, but like a lot of people need to hear that stuff over and over. But like text content is cool because he'll make like travel vlogs and like find stuff to flip while he's on like a vacation with his wife. Like, they'll hit up a random thrift store and be like, okay, we found this. He'll pull up like recent sold comps on the screen and be like, yeah, we just bought. I mean, it's nuts. And he'll come away with like thousands of dollars worth of profit and show exactly what he's picking up, the sell-through rate, all that sort of stuff. And he did these bolo videos. Like, one of them, he was walking through Disneyland and he was just pointing at stuff. And he was like, oh yeah, that like he would just point at something. He'd be like, oh, he's like snow globes. And he'd be like, here's like 10 different snow globes to be on the lookout for. And here's why they're like, it was nuts, man. Like, if you watch his bolo videos, they're be on the lookout is what bolo stands for. But that content is more interesting. I learned a lot from like the reseller stuff initially, but most of the content that I enjoy from him now is like the day in the life kind of stuff where he's like actually out. Because Chris's stuff is pretty like, what's working for resellers, how do we make eBay algorithm favor us. Like,
I was about to say the algorithm thing, because he's always talking about how to get the algorithm to like you again. Whether or not it's worth it to just abandon your store if the algorithm is not favoring you and start a new one, or whether it's better to just auction everything and start listing it. Like, all these things just keep coming up in those ones. So it's good content. It's just that I can't consume it over and over other content that's more changing, for sure. But other than that, the whole reseller stuff, what else has been new with you? I know you just got back from Hawaii, so you're probably getting back into the swing of things over the last week or so. But now that you're back home, anything new and exciting? I think you said something about going and vending in a show. I'm trying to get excited about vending this weekend because I have a show on Saturday and Sunday, then one in Vegas later this month. But what do you got going on for like vending and things?
Yeah, we both have shows this weekend. I don't know if you're doing both days or not, but I'm just doing Saturday.
No, I'm doing both of them.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm doing Saturday. I finally got my tablecloth, so I'm excited to have that. I'll be bringing that, to sort of start building brand awareness. I'm gonna pack a bunch of binders tomorrow. Get a bunch of raw stuff in there, and I think I kind of know like what sells better. Like, I had a bunch of chase cards that I was gonna list on eBay because I was like, maybe these aren't gradable, but I'm like, I'll just bring these in person and see if they sell. And if they don't sell in person, then I'll flip them on eBay. But like I had like a Gengar VMAX and a couple different like Charizards and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know. I think people are gonna be like, I think people will buy this for cash. So rather than listing those on eBay, I'm waiting to see how those do this weekend. Probably going to bring like a few plushies and, still Japanese sealed and all that sort of stuff. But I'm excited because I did decent my first time vending at like a smaller location with less foot traffic. And all the vendors I talked to were like, this is the one to go to. Like, this one's insane. It's in a higher population area in general. The mall's a lot nicer. But the show in general, people are like, yeah, like it fills up really quick and stuff. So I'm excited. We'll see what happens. Yeah, what about you? Where are you been in this weekend?
This week, I haven't been doing a lot of Pokemon. As I kind of said and alluded to in the beginning of the podcast, I've been a little bit out of it. We reassessed our finances and like eating and how much we were spending eating out and dining out and things like that after traveling a bunch. And, around tax season, always good to reassess the finances and everything. And we discovered we were spending way too much weekly, monthly, going out and eating, just like getting takeout, or I would get fast food on errands or doing things, just things that we didn't need to do. So I've been trying to readjust that, like really, really readjust it, both for health reasons and financial purposes, because you don't realize how much you spend eating out over the course of a month until you actually sit down and look at your bank account and do all the math. And for us, it really added up. So I have been really doing the whole like, I don't know, like Cinderella, Mary Poppins type thing, like housekeeper.
Well, it's funny because I was like, dude, we talked about this a little bit before the part, and I was like, dude, you're like such a good cook as is. You don't even need to eat out. If you guys follow Josh on Instagram yesterday, homeboy made homemade pasta sauce, homemade gnocchi, and then homemade banana pudding with Nilla wafers. And
Well,
I'm
that's the
like,
thing. It's not out
why
of
would you ever eat
necessity.
out if you can cook like that? Like,
It's not out of necessity. It's out of laziness, which is why we had to just reassess and be like, what are we doing here? Like, because I understand if you don't know how to cook and you can't make delicious food, like wanting to go and get something good for yourself after working hard on a long week, and like that can add up, but you don't have another option really because you can't really make something that good at home. I don't have that excuse, unfortunately, because I know how to cook. Like a part of my life, a good portion of my life has been spent watching food content on Travel Channel. I grew up on Anthony Bourdain, No Reservations, like, and I grew up on that type of content where my parents were watching that while I was like doing my normal things. So I was really exposed to that my whole life. So I can cook. I've not only been exposed to it, but I've learned through trial by fire, living on my own very early on. I learned that I want to eat good things. I don't want to pay for it. So yeah, I don't have that excuse. So you are right in that. I that's why it's not too hard when I do decide to do that. It just takes a lot of time and effort. You know what I mean? It's like I'm running the dishwasher every other day instead of like once a week. It's just a lot more effort, and to go from being lazy to not being lazy, it's a big change of schedule. So I'm trying to encourage myself to do that and keep on that schedule, because we don't have a lot of traveling that we're going to be doing until October, or no, it's not October, June, for Card Party. And so that's the next travel we're going to be doing. So we have a lot of time to be at home, and I would justify doing like eating out and not cooking and stuff, because I'd be like, oh, next week or the weekend after we're going to be going out of town, so why are we going to get all these groceries that we're not going to use it? So I just think, oh, we'll just out of convenience eat something, whatever. And it ends up not being a good idea. So now that I don't have that justification anymore, we're going to be home for a long period of time until, I don't have anything planned. I can go to Costco. I can buy a little bit larger quantities and things. I can start feeling a little bit better about being at home and being more normal in my schedule. So that's what I've been really focusing on. So that's probably why Pokemon's kind of taken a back seat. But this weekend, I have a big show coming up, couple of days. There's the East Bay Card Show, which is one of the largest and fastest growing shows in the Bay Area in Northern California. And it just got attached to a professional like promoter, which is an Instagram guy by the name of Talon Sports, which he has a big Instagram account. He does like videos for card shows. but they hired him on as like their professional media promotion. So the show is already a lights out, amazing show with no promotion. It's been going on for a little over a year and a half or 2 years, I think now. But he is going to start promoting every show, and he has a huge following. And with that, I think it's going to grow even more. I have a lot of.
Oh, damn. I just looked him up. He's got like 92,000 followers on Instagram.
And his videos get way more views than his typical following would demonstrate, because it's just that kind of content. It's really good content. So like, shout out to Talon. He's great. He's a sports guy, so a lot of our audience isn't going to connect to that as much, but he does card show content. And so the East Bay Card Show, which is the one that I'm going to be at, I've been shilling for a while, is only going to get better and better. So it takes place at a really nice hotel. There's 2 rooms, 2 auditoriums for the card show. They're right next to each other. One's for like sports mainly, and the other one's for like Pokemon and non-sports TCG. And it's a little bit smaller, and I'm always in the non-TCG one, and it's a little closer to the door, so it's sort of a better situation there. But yeah, I love the show. I'm excited
Lex
for
is
it.
just like right in the middle. Like he's like right in the doorway between the 2 auditoriums because he's got both. Like that's funny that they split him up like that.
It's not on purpose. I think it's because it grew so large so quickly that the main auditorium, they had another auditorium right next to it that was just not being used. They're like, well, why don't we use this as well? It's not the main auditorium. And it ended up growing so much in this area. TCG, trading card games, is such a big thing for some reason that like it's become its own area for trading card games. And it didn't start this way, but now it's colloquially called the TCG room. It's the sports room and the TCG room. And so come find me in the TCG room with my Magikarp hat. Where is it? Right there. This weekend in Concord at the East Bay Card Show. So that's going to be a good one.
Okay. All right. Yeah, man. Hopefully you do well. Like it's interesting too. Like all these little pieces of sentiment sort of I don't know, can give you an idea on things we're headed or where things are headed. So it's interesting to hear that like all these shows you're going to are like continuing to grow and expand. I don't like that. To me is, you know, we talk about Collecticon and stuff like that, but like even if you can just take your family, or even if you know you're just a single person or whatever, like getting to a show, getting to like an in-person card event, that's like what provides the stickiness to the hobby. Like I feel like you only can go so far or have such like your level of having a good experience is capped if you're just collecting from home, like buying stuff on eBay. Like going to a card store, going to a card show, that to me is the next level. Connecting with people, nerding out about stuff. I don't know, like that's sort of like community building, not to use like buzzwords or whatever, but like that you know what I mean? Like that to me, it's a whole other level of keeping people engaged in the hobby, I guess. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's honestly the best part about the hobby is in face person to person transactions with people. Not just transactions, but like sitting down at the kitchen table and playing a card game with someone is infinitely more satisfying than playing it over the internet, over an application, or like not in person where it seems more faceless and you're just kind of waiting for the little timer to go down. And you're like, come on, dude, what are you doing? Why are you taking so long? You can literally look the person in the eyes, be like, dude, get off your stupid phone and play the dang game if you're playing with someone in person. So like there's just like you said, a stickiness to that in-person interaction that you don't get from it online, or just buying stuff on eBay, or like a card you found on TCG Player. You may or may not have more or less of a connection to it than a card that you went to a card show, you looked at, you looked all around the room, and you finally found that one card, and you got a good deal on it from, negotiated. You remember that interaction. You put that in your binder. It's a little bit more meaningful than just grabbing it out of the envelope. And that might not be true for everyone. Maybe the envelope's just as meaningful. Like for me, I don't care either way how I get it, but I get both sides of the coin. You know what I mean? So
real quick before we move on, last thing I'll say when you're talking about TCG apps, I know Bandai has this history of like killing games. And I'm actually surprised. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's an online client for the One Piece game yet.
No, and
But
I've been wrong about One Piece. I just want to say, in the last few podcasts that we've talked about it in the last few months, I've said multiple times things about One Piece, and I will say now I've been wrong about most all of those things up until at this point so far. But I still hold those same opinions.
yeah, no, fair enough. But yeah, so like I don't think they have an online client for One Piece yet, but they do have a client for the new Dragon Ball Super Fusion World or whatever they're calling it. And dude, it looks nuts. Like I don't know if you've seen the trailers on Facebook or YouTube, but it's sick. Like the GUI is really nice, but like the characters pop up. Like they like pop up in like it's so if you have like Goku attacking Cell or something, even though it's your card, like Goku as a character will pop up in like Kamehameha. Like it looks sick, dude. I'm like, damn, I might want to try. Like, I don't have time to learn a TCG or anything, but the client looks really nice. And so I'm like, okay, Bandai, like maybe. And again, like that's why I'm surprised. I'm like, why haven't you guys done this with One Piece? Because like the DBZ thing is brand new. One Piece has been printing for a minute now. I'm like, why haven't you guys come up with like an online, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe there is an online client for One Piece, but the one for the DBZ looks sick. So like I don't know. Like
well, it's reminiscent of, well, isn't that what Yu-Gi-Oh is? Yu-Gi-Oh is like the cards come to life, and like that's what
yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh
kind
is.
of.
So that's kind of what it's supposed to be, right? Like so it's surprising that Yu-Gi-Oh hasn't like tried to play way more into the virtual reality thing, because I feel like that's what the thing is. But it's like it goes back to, I think that's what everyone wants in their games. It goes back to the whole Star Wars thing, Dejaric, I think is what it's called, or Dejaric. It's the chess game they play in Star Wars where
oh yeah, where I know what
and
you're
they
talking
pop
about.
out, when they attack, they like attack each other and they hit.
Yeah,
It's like that, or like Wizard's chess, like in Harry Potter, where like the pieces kind of come to an attack. Everyone wants that in their board games or their
Have you
card
seen
games.
that as like that's like a meme now? That whole scene with like Ron, Harry, and Hermione.
No, I
Like that's
haven't
like
seen that. Wait, what's the meme of it?
it's like you know how people will take little clips and then use them to make like memes.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's the one scene where he's like, okay, Harry, you do this, and then I'll take the queen or whatever. And they're like, no, Ron, you'll die. Like that scene now is being used for all these memes, and I'm like, why did this randomly pop up? But oh man,
That doesn't make any sense to me, because I mean, I guess I have to see the meme to make sense. But it's a funny scene, I guess. But I don't know.
yeah, it's goofy. I mean, if you like, people are making like dubstep remixes out of it and I don't know, man.
Oh, it's one of those memes. Okay, for sure.
It's goofy for sure, but no, yeah, I totally remember what you're talking about, because doesn't Chewie play it with like Luke on the
He
ship or
plays
something?
it with C-3PO, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, and then he gets
is,
pissed because C3. Yeah. I remember
he's
that.
like,
Okay.
he's like,
Yeah.
dude, you shouldn't try to beat him. I think Han
Yeah.
tells him or something. Yeah, it's a good
Okay.
scene.
Damn, that's a throwback. All right.
Yeah, but yeah, so no, I think that's where the games online really do need to move. Like if they want to continue to kind of compete with these better games that are more interesting to play, because like, why are you gonna sit there and play like some dumb card game that's literally just flat cards 2D on a screen, when you can go play like Minecraft and build an entire empire, or play Fortnite and go shoot up all your friends in costumes or whatever it is that Fortnite kids do. I don't know, they build forts or something, I don't know.
They have Lego, like Lego's doing a collab with Fortnite now. So like, because you do all the building and stuff in Fortnite. So now there's like a bunch of Lego characters, and you can
That makes
build
sense
with
to me,
Legos.
because you build, right? You build
Yeah.
forts in Fortnite, I guess.
Yeah.
And so Lego's building. So yeah, hell yeah. And Legos, kids love Legos. They always do. So
I like Legos. I don't have any, but like I've seen some Lego sets that have come out, and I'm like, damn, these are good. My girlfriend got into like Lego investing content for a little bit. Like she was like thinking about like, oh, what could I flip? And so she was watching some Lego stuff and kind of explaining it. And it's interesting, man.
dude,
Anyways,
I had to leave Legos out of the invest, flip, or skip for this week, because it would have been a runaway winner.
Yeah.
And as as like a little preview, I know that the audience doesn't know yet what the entire topic is, but Legos was originally going to be on there, but it had to be taken off. Just so you know, a little behind the scenes.
No, yeah, Lego for sure would have blown everything else out of the water. So
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So moving into the first topic, which is our typical crossfire. For me, it's going to be a sort of short one, so I'll let you sort of. I'll have you go second, and I'll do mine first because mine's not going to be
All
as
right.
long. So I don't
Okay.
know what yours has in store for me, but just in case, this week on Crossfire, uh, we are. I've been doing a lot of X-Men rewatching, right? I've been doing a lot of the X-Men, the old original cartoon of X-Men, and it surprises me like how like now it's not surprising because X-Men was originally written to be sort of like parallel to the civil rights movement, like the way that the X-Men were treated by the rest of humanity and like their plights and what they're going through was supposed to mirror the civil rights movement. So there's
Yeah,
a lot of that.
Magneto was Malcolm X and Xavier was Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
okay. So I'm glad that you're familiar because the root of my question requires the audience and more so you to be sort of familiar with those two factions in the X-Men, which are dueling. You have Magneto, who is the leader of the mutants, the human. I think it's the Brotherhood of Mutants is what they're called. Magneto, yeah, the Brotherhood of Mutants. That's what his group is called. And then you have the X-Men, which is Xavier's crew, and they are formed of two different ideological differences of groups, right? And so those two groups, you have Xavier over here, who believes that the X-Men should strive to be a part of humanity and try to seek their acceptance and work against that sort of like strain that is the societal non-acceptance of them and work to make them coexist, and go through the pains of it. Whereas Magneto over here believes that they can never necessarily coexist because they are different, fundamentally different, and the humans will never necessarily be able to understand the plight of the mutants go through, and that the mutants need to have their own set of rules and they need to have their own place and they need to basically be free, but they need to be free by their rules, not by society's rules who have been dictated to them poorly in the past. So I'm curious if you were now in this society, if you were a mutant, but not say a mutant with like crazy omega level powers, so you weren't a part of the X-Men, you weren't like a big juggernaut sort of situation where you're a criminal and you're trying to make your living that way. Where would you fall in this sort of philosophical debate? Where would you stand? Would you agree with Xavier over here with the X-Men? Would you support their sort of their side, or would you be more on the side of the Brotherhood of Mutants and Magneto? And would you be more on that side there? Where would you do you think stand in that? I'm curious.
I think it's kind of like a short term gain versus long term sustainability argument, right? Because like Magneto and all that, like clearly like they're more powerful than humans, and the people he has on his side have some like they could run the world if they wanted to, but again, it's like humans are always going to fear them then at that point, and they're always going to like try to resist and fight back, and it's just going to make like a worse name overall for mutants. Whereas Xavier like was trying to get bills passed through Congress and work with the president and all that sort of stuff, and even though it was like an uphill battle, I mean, it's the same thing. Like they made this movie about Martin Luther King called Selma, and it's like dramatized or whatever. But there's this one scene where he goes in and he's like talking to the president, and the president is not willing to like do the right thing, basically. And Martin Luther King is just kind of like he's not like F you. He just goes like, okay, like I see how it is, and then just continues to like, do the marches and boycotts and things like that. And ultimately I feel like what he did is so outstanding because there's like nothing bad that you can say about it, right? I mean, people were getting like chased with dogs and sprayed with fire hoses and like all this horrible, horrible stuff, and killed in some cases too. Like all this whole, and they still like persevered and went through it and maintained, a peaceful disposition. And that's why the story is so powerful. And I kind of feel the same way about, the Xavier thing. It's like he's just aiming for coexistence, which is ultimately like the long-term sustainability. People are always going to fear what they don't understand, but you can slowly work over time towards like finding common ground, versus like forcing an ideology on people, or people that are uncomfortable or don't understand something, trying to like make them understand, or be like, okay, well, we don't care that you don't understand, like this is how things are gonna. It just never works out, right? So personally, I'm going with Xavier, but I also understand that like that's more of an uphill battle, and it's a longer term battle too. Like it's, whereas Magneto, he's like, he can control all metal, dog. Like he can do whatever he wants. Like if you're like he can rob a bank in seconds, he can do whatever he wants, right? So his is more of a short term, like I can get what I want, but long term, like again, it's not sustainable. All you're going to do is create more hate, more division. Humans are always going to want to like fight back against you, and you're just going to make a bad name for like mutants in general. So
Well, in
um,
some regards, Magneto's plan is to eliminate all the humans, so there won't be necessarily much of a resistance to the mutants if they're all eliminated and there's all
yeah,
the mutants. Because I think that Magneto's argument is that the humans attempt to eliminate all the mutants, or they are oftentimes trying to label, like in the first couple of episodes of the X-Men, one of the plot lines is the mutants are all required to be registered to like the government, and the government was using that registration to then track down certain ones and kidnap them and experiment on them, right? And Magneto, of course, he's been through that, and he's not into the government trying to track you down and experiment on the people that they feel inferior, who are inferior to. So like, there's much to be said about both, like, so.
well, and real quick too, like a lot of it, like that whole product of the environment thing, it's interesting too, like, right, because Magneto's power is like so ultra physical, and Xavier is disabled, but has like obviously like the mind control and can like look into the future and predict things and do all that. So it's really, it is sort of like the yin yang situation, right? Like on one side you got this like ultra physical like brute force, and then over here you have this like disabled guy who's working through Cerebro and all that. So it's just, and
And it's
again,
also
like,
different depending on the type of mutant you are, I'm sure. If you're one of those
yeah,
mutants that probably looks like a toad, and can't go out in public without people like gawking at you and treating you like you're some sort of like, heretic, it's kind of hard to side with someone who's just being like, hey, give these people a chance, or throwing tomatoes at you, who just jeer at you, who literally will poke you with a stick and like kick you if given a chance. Like, just give them a chance. It's like, it's kind of hard to hear that when you're that dude who looks like a frog. You know what I
well,
mean? So,
shouts out to Nightcrawler, because Nightcrawler stayed on the good side for
well,
sure.
that's
So,
the thing, yeah. And so I think that's why the story is always so compelling. Is like, it's not just like a good versus evil kind of thing. I think it's a very much so grounded in reality, something that a lot of people can relate to, and that's what I think. That shout out to the writers, Stan Lee mostly, right, who was developing those stories at the time, who really focused on trying to tell those stories. It's unfortunate that there wasn't more representation in those stories, considering it was about that, you know what I mean? But it was always, I think, a good message for sure. So I think the X-Men is always a really good thing. And as far as like superhero stories, it's always been popular in mainstream society because I think it's very relatable to what like people go through in real life.
yeah, 100%. I mean, there's this. I don't know what number issue it is, but there's this specific Spider-Man issue where he is like, the cover is him swinging over. I think it's called Trouble on Campus is the name of the issue or something. But he's literally swinging over like a group of students protesting the Vietnam War. So like politics and social rights like were very heavily, you know, in a lot of like Stan Lee's writing and just like the comics at that time, because it was a more palatable way for people to digest things, right? Like regardless of your political affiliations or your sexuality, or like we're getting we're on the line
We
here right
always do. We always do.
with this one, but people enjoy comics, right? Like everybody is reading comics, and so telling these stories through sort of like a palatable medium, being comics and graphic novels, to explain like humanity and equality and social rights and stuff like that. I think that maybe that was Stan Lee's way of like not beating people over the head with it, but being like, hey, like let's all get along type thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, rest in peace, man. Stan Lee is the GOAT for sure.
I really miss seeing him in all of the Marvel movies. Literally, it's one of the biggest things I miss. Like, cheers to Stan Lee. I miss you, buddy. But you live on in all the movies you did get to be in, and forevermore in your writings too.
Real quick, what kind of tea are you drinking?
It's a green tea, just green tea with lemon and honey.
All right.
It's a cold and rainy day here in California on this spring California day.
What's cold, like 68 degrees or something?
Let me see what it actually is. It was raining, so I don't know. It's not like a hot rain. Let me see what the temperature says so I don't mislead you, because it feels cold. First, let me tell you what it feels like, and then I'll tell you what it actually is before I look, because it feels probably like 61 degrees, 58 to 61 degrees. Let me see what it actually is, though. Oh, wow. 46. It's actually
wow. Okay. That is decently cold. Yo, do you remember how nasty it was in Fort Worth? Dude, it was like a sweat lodge. Like,
dude, hot. Do you remember, dude?
The downpour?
Yes, that crazy storm? Out of nowhere downpour. Oh my gosh.
Dude, it was like 90 degrees and it's just dumping, and the freaking like water's just slapping the pavement. There's lightning and we're just miserable, dude. You would take a shower, get out, and still feel gross. Like, oh man.
Yeah, that was weird. And I feel like it came out of nowhere. It literally was like out of nowhere, and then it was gone too. So like I think we were standing outside and it just started dumping on us.
Yeah, I told because my girlfriend looked up the weather for Orlando Collecticon, and she's like, it's gonna be really hot. And I'm like, yeah, but it at least last year when I went, like I don't remember it being that humid. Like it was hot, but it wasn't super like muggy, or at least it was more tolerable
most of the time. So
yeah, that's true. But it was definitely more tolerable than Fort Worth. That was nasty. That was nasty. Not a fan.
I'm not going back to Texas. I've said it multiple times. I'm done with Texas. Like I'm fine unless I have to, unless there's a reason to go back. But I'm not willingly like, I'm going to Texas. Not happening. Sorry, Texas. That's a big state of people I just alienated there, but they don't want me there anyway. They've demonstrated that. Trust me, they don't want me there, so it's fine. It's not going to hurt anyone.
All right. Let me do my crossfire really quick. So mine is kind of reseller related. If you could have another business model that you've seen somebody else be successful with, like sometimes it's a lot to do too much, right? It's like I got to stay in my lane, I got to do, but like if you were starting over or something, is there another business model that you've seen somebody else be successful with that if like you had a parallel you that you'd be like, I'd like to try that out, like let me see how that works? Like is there any other model that you think would be interesting to try?
I don't know. I don't think so, because if there was, I would probably just do that as well. I typically do most of it. There's some things though that I guess have been on my. It's funny whenever Dan talks about wanting a food truck, I can totally relate to him with that, because like while I don't want a food truck, like I could see myself like with my best buddy, like who I went to community college with, and we lived together for a little while. We cooked a lot together. It's where I learned a lot to cook good food. I think was when he and I lived together. We'd cook a lot and buy foods together, and it was just a good communal thing. If he ever came to me, because he's a chef now, if he ever came to me, he's like, "Hey man, I'm starting a food truck. Kind of want someone to like come along with me." And if I had nothing else going on, and I was just like, "Sure, why the hell?" Like I've seen that movie Chef, which is about like a guy starting up a food truck basically. And it just, I could imagine if I had a good partner or someone that I was working with that I liked, because it's close quarters, I could have fun working a food truck, making food that I really liked and serving it to people because I get to see their reactions right there to my food. Like it's not like a chef. No offense to chef in the back of the kitchen or anyone who is a chef in the back of the kitchen, but I just feel like you don't get enough credit for what you do, and you don't get to see the fruit. Like you don't get to see the happiness that you create from the back house because you're on to the next thing. You're already 2 orders ahead. Like you're behind on something. You got this fire going in the oven. Literally, your oven is on fire. Whereas, like with a food truck, you're making it. Sure, you have a lot going on, but you get to hand it to them, and you see them directly in front of you eating it. And I just feel like, I don't know, that interaction to me would be a very like wholesome interaction. I don't know if it's one that I've seen work though. To answer your question, I have two friends who have had food trucks. An old coworker of mine who left my job, my old winery job, and started a food truck. He has since sold that food truck and went back to the wine industry. So I've seen businesses fail, unfortunately, those types of businesses more than I've seen succeed, I think. Your question was, have I seen another business succeed that I would think, oh, because that's a successful and easy or like a successful operation, I would love to do that. I don't know if this answers the question accurately, but it's close enough, I think. I have seen food trucks succeed, and I do believe I could make a food truck succeed given the right tweaking, given the right partner, the experience, expertise, and right capital. So, I think it'd be a food truck. So, shout out to Catch 'em All Collectibles and your barbecue truck. I think my fried chicken and waffles truck would put your barbecue truck to shame. So, no offense
All right,
to your
Dan.
barbecue, but fried chicken and waffles is the way.
Calling you out, Dan. Yeah, we need to get Dan on the food truck life ASAP so we can start making some money in the hobby. We need to
That's
take
right.
his
That's right.
market. We need to take his market share out.
Between
So
Dan's Buy It Nows and Z&G's auctions, just between the two of those guys, I mean, we'd be back in 2021 prices if
I
it wasn't for
know,
them. That's what I
I
believe, at
know.
least.
Shouts out to Z. Love you, dude. But like, it's so dark. Every time like I'll see a card listed in PSA 10, I'm like, wait, that's really cheap. And then I'll go comp it, and I'm like, oh, Probstein, Z&G. Yep.
It's easy for me. It's easy for me because I just won't comp off of auctions from people walking up to me, which is really ironic because I will comp off of auctions when I'm buying, but when I'm selling, I will not sell based on. People in the comments are gonna run me for this. They're gonna be like, "He just admitted it. He admitted it." But yeah, hell yes, I'm going to take the higher of the sales comps when I can, and I'm going to buy for the lower one. Just like the same people were coming up to me asking for the auction comps. It doesn't hurt when I just blink at them and say, sorry, I don't comp off of auctions, or I only take buy it now comps if I'm going to match a comp typically. So, and
No, I
even
mean,
then,
you have to do that because if you're buying based on other buy it nows and auctions are going low, you have like no margin of safety. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
so
Whereas,
yeah, it's I know
so
that the people in the comments who say something about that are the people who just don't understand what it's like to sell any. They never sold a card in their life, or they just don't know what it's like and don't understand at all. So that's what it is, and I understand that, and it'll get us more comments too. So this is engagement. So I appreciate the comments. If you want to say something down below about my strategies of not auctioning, not taking auction comps when people come to the table, but me taking auction comps and buying with them when sellers are willing. It's a double standard, but it's a double standard that I willingly and admittedly take. But honestly, you don't have to sell something. So if I come to you and I offer you a low auction price that was auctioned, you never have to take that. You don't have to be like, oh man, there's a comp on it. You could just say, no, I don't comp based on auctions, just like I do. So there's no need to be mad. You just gotta, don't hate the player, hate the game.
yeah, I remember this one time, dude. I was at I can't remember which Collecticon it was, but I went up. I wanted to buy. I think it was the English, the Rayquaza VMAX from Evolving Skies. I can't remember the prices, but like, I'll just use random numbers to, like for the sake of the story. He had it priced for like, let's say it was like 350, and market price at the time was 300. Buy it now was 300, and I thought, I was like, yeah, this will probably grade a 10. So I offered him. I was like, would you sell this for 300? That's kind of what they're going for on eBay. Like, I'll give you cash. You won't pay fees. And he was like, no. no, it's early. I'm just gonna let. And I was like, okay. And this was before Evolving Skies had moved. And then later, like he came up to our table and he's like, "Yeah, I sold that Rayquaza for 350." And I was like, "Cool, dude. Like,
Cool
good for
story.
you.
Like, good for
Like, good
you.
for you." Like, it was just, I don't. It was just goofy, but
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like
I
don't
mean,
take it personal is the thing. Like
yeah,
it's never
exactly. It's like if
personal.
we
Yeah.
can't make a deal, it's whatever. But like, oh yeah, I sold it over market, so nana and a boo boo. Like, all right, dog. Like,
It's such
congratulations. Like, I don't know.
small energy. It's just small energy there.
Yeah. And it wasn't even when Evolving Skies was ripping. This was like a year ago or something. So it was like, okay.
Cool. Cool story.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
such a fool. I had cases of Evolving Skies. I had cases and I sold it. So at like
You can't go
160 to
back, man.
200, bro.
You can't go back. You just traded Urza's into a Watsy box. Like you're chilling. You're making
Yeah,
big
no,
moves.
you win more than you lose for sure overall. At least you hope to. So
Well, you didn't even lose. You still printed. You just sold early, which is fine. Like you still made crazy profit margins. You just sold, which like at the time, it's like who knows if that was their like I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
those were $90 boxes at the time. I just picked up from the distributor, and I couldn't get more, mind you, but they just reprinted it, and it seemed like they're going to keep reprinting it, which it was wrong on that particular front. Which I feel like in this podcast, I'm wrong more often than I'm not, but that's kind of the fun of it. You get to see that play out in like real time.
no, being wrong's good, man. Like we're both wrong. Like I'm wrong about tons of stuff too, but it's cool to like the Star Wars thing. Like I mean, I didn't know that there was spoils or anything just because the pictures on TCG Player didn't none of the like I didn't know and I hadn't
Well,
looked too
they
deep
didn't
into
say that there was. They didn't really spoil much before. It wasn't very well. Like that game hasn't gotten a lot of like
No,
advertising.
yeah, like no content around it really. But yeah, I didn't think it was gonna go crazy. And like I think UAP in our last podcast was in the comments saying like, yeah, it's going really nuts. So totally
It's
wrong
gone
there.
off. Yeah.
Totally wrong. But that's great. Like I'm glad it's I like Star Wars, so I totally missed the boat there. But anyways, all right, let's
Yeah,
keep it
I'm sure if it does really successful, they'll reprint it a bunch and it'll become accessible again, and then people have a chance to get access to it. Because right now, I haven't even seen it or heard anyone say anything about it, but I do think it's really new. So, all right. Speaking of that game, though, it's going to bring us into our next topic, which is going to be kind of a fun little nostalgic one. This is something that I would typically do in like a trainer spotlight situation, but since we have a podcast together, I don't do trainer spotlights with my podcast mates because we spend so many hours talking that we eventually get into it. And so I don't know if I've ever really gotten out of you much of like stories or impactful moments or things that maybe have produced like great memories for you from the hobby, but I have a few, and I'd be curious to hear a couple coming out of you. So I don't know if you wanted to maybe think about a little as I start. If you have a couple thought about already, you want to tell a little story. But why don't you regale us, some of the customer or the watchers and myself, with some of your little stories from what maybe made you remember the hobby?
Well, are you talking about like just like stuff I remember from being a kid or since coming back or both?
Whatever, honestly, it's whatever is impactful for you. I'm going to tell maybe one or two stories that are impactful for me that span a little bit of the course of the hobby. But what got you into Pokemon? Like, what is it about this hobby that you love? Just, is there anything in particular that you haven't told before that you maybe want to?
I'm trying to think. Like, well, when I was a kid, like so we lived in California for a while. So okay, well, my mom, two different sets of family friends that were Japanese. So like when my mom was a kid, my mom and my uncle, they had a Japanese exchange student come and live with them, and her name was Yukari, and they became like really good friends. I think she lived with my grandma and my mom and my uncle for like a year, maybe longer. They became like really, really good friends, stayed friends. And then she's come to visit us like multiple times since then and stayed with us for a couple weeks. And at one point, I want to say they actually lived over here in California, and I was really good friends with her son. Um, and we were both obsessed with Pokemon. And I was also just always like, my mom played judo and was like, black belt in judo, got invited to like the Junior Olympics and stuff like that. And so as a kid, I was really into martial arts, and I really loved fighting type Pokemon. And so I remember trading my buddy, his name was Yuichiro. I remember trading him. I don't know what I traded him, maybe like I don't know, like a Blastoise or something, but I traded him for like the Hitmonlee and like a Hitmonchan Hollow, like the
Were they
Japanese.
Japanese or English?
They were Japanese.
Wow, those were in the day. Back in the day, the Japanese stuff was highly prized. Like
Yeah.
kids
Well, and I just
loved the Japanese stuff back in the day. They thought it was so cool.
And I was obsessed with Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan in the games because Hitmonchan could do all four like elements. Like you could do Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Fire Punch, which I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like I can take out any kind of Pokemon with Hitmonchan. So I was just obsessed with like fighting type Pokemon.
Yeah, and back then the same type, the stab bonus that you got wasn't in the game yet. So I think that it was just regular type effectiveness. So you were correct to, I think, assume that at least someone in the comments, correct me if I'm
talking
wrong.
about the video game, not the actual card game.
The video game. Okay. In the video game, you had type effectiveness, but it wasn't stab. It wasn't same type effectiveness, which you get in addition to the type effectiveness now in the game.
Oh, okay.
So in your day, what you're talking about made Hitmonchan even that much more powerful because it didn't have the boost of the fighting type that you would get. So I'm sorry to derail your comment, but
no, you're good. But yeah, no, I really love those. And yeah, so just being friends with him, and being super into martial arts. At one point, I don't remember pulling it, but I remember like one of my prized cards was the Suicune from Aquapolis, and I lost that because I went over to a buddy's house for like a sleepover, and we were like looking at cards and trading and stuff like that. And his sister really wanted the Suicune. I was like, no, I can't trade that. And when I came home, I couldn't find my Suicune, so I think I got jacked by my buddy's sister. So that was kind of a bummer. But yeah, definitely love that card. Always been like a Suicune fan. And then like a modern day.
So that's why you're a Suicune fan then, huh? Because of that card?
Yeah, I mean he was always like my favorite dog for sure. But I think it definitely had something to do with like pulling that card for sure. But like when I look back on it, like I was just a huge fighting type fan. Like I remember I had a Giovanni's Machamp Hollow. And like I just loved that card. He's got like lightning coming out. I don't know. Like I was really into the fighting type Pokemon. Hitmontop I thought was really cool.
That's so funny to me because I was not a fighting type lover. I love dragon types.
Okay, that's the next thing I was gonna say. Me too. I was a huge dragon. Like I remember as a kid when you meet Lance.
Oh my god!
I like shat myself. I was like, this guy is so cool. He's got a cape. He's a dragon type
hair. Yeah,
spiky hair. Like he looks like a character from Toonami or something. I remember like, yeah, dude. When you meet Lance in the Leaf Form, I'm like, dude, this guy is such a gangster. You know, and even as I got old, like there's been some Lance cards that they've made that I'm like, okay, he looks pretty badass, but they're like $4 because no one buys male trainers. But yeah, dude, Lance is a G. For sure. Like Gyarados, Dragonite, like, yeah. And it's the first time you see those Pokemon in the game. So I just always remember as a kid being like, oh my God, this dude is such a G. Like, yeah. So definitely that for sure.
Did you ever have a base set Charizard?
I did. And it had a print error. Like part of the hollow was like, I don't even know how to explain it. It looked bleached or something. Like part of the hollow looked like it was like
it shifted. That's a shift. That's a hollow shift.
Okay. Yeah.
God, dude, that's such a valuable card now.
I know. And you know what? I sold that binder on eBay in, I don't know, 2014, 2016, maybe for like $30. And I probably lost money after fees and shipping. Well, I didn't lose money because it was, but like I made like maybe $5 or $10 or something.
You're saying you're better off not, basically.
Yeah. I was in it, and like I didn't even need the money. I don't know why I sold it. I was just like maybe
what brought you to eBay to sell it then, and back in 2014 because you weren't into Pokemon then, right? obviously.
No,
Yeah.
it's weird too because Yukari, like I've told this a few times before, but like Yukari and her other son, her younger son, came and visited us. I don't even know now, maybe like 8 to 10 years ago or something, and stayed with my mom for like 2 weeks. And her son brought this huge stack of Japanese Pokemon cards. And there's pictures of me on Facebook with him at the kitchen table, like looking through all these cards. And I remember thinking like, oh, this is cool. But that's where it stopped. Like I wasn't like, oh, I want to get back into this or anything. So it's
It's
funny.
because you couldn't read it. It's because you couldn't read it. Literally,
No,
that's
it's not because
what
I
more did you
couldn't
do with
read
them? It's not like
it.
you're grading them, bro.
No. So, the
Hikari was
other thing
like,
too.
he was like, yeah, that's cool because he could read what was happening, but without him there to translate, how the hell are you going to do anything with him?
No, it had nothing to do. Don't try to spew that English bananas on me.
You
No,
said it yourself. You didn't know what to do with them. You weren't
no,
grading back then,
that's not true.
obviously. So
That's not true. He had he was big into Pokemon Go, and he was so excited. Like everywhere we went, he was like
it had to
catching
be
because
2016 then. So it was at least
yeah,
2016.
okay, yeah, so maybe it was. Yeah, but I remember he was so excited everywhere we went. He was playing Pokemon Go because he could catch Pokemon in America that he couldn't catch in Japan.
Yes, and
And
they
then
could trade them over there. It's worth so much more. Yeah, hell yeah, I remember
yeah,
those days, dude. Did he
so
give
when
you a Farfetch'd at the time?
I can't remember what he was but I just remember him messaging us on Facebook. And when he got home, he was like the most popular friend in his friend group because he had all these Pokemon. Yeah, good memories for
Yeah,
sure.
because
But
you could catch Tauros here in the United States, and you
okay,
couldn't catch Tauros in Japan. You could only catch the Farfetch'd in Japan. So,
yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe I was just like focused on other stuff.
were you
And
even playing Pokemon Go with him at the time? Did you play Pokemon Go?
like maybe a little bit when it first came out, but I wasn't like super. I don't know. It's weird, dude. Like it's so funny. Like I had multiple opportunities to get, and it's funny because like right around the time SM Pratt started making videos, I was printing. I was young. I owned a dispensary. I was doing really, really well for myself. I could have been the next SM Pratt. If I would have found my way around to his videos and like found out that all this like rare Japanese PSA 10 promo cards were like 30, $50 at that point in my life, 100% I would have bought that stuff. If I would have like heard the arguments. Now, would I have held on to it through the boom? I don't know. Probably not. Probably not because
No, you wouldn't have held it for longer than 20 minutes. The
yeah,
second it went
because
up $1, you would have been flipping
yeah,
it. Yeah.
exactly. I'm so financially brained that if they didn't like 10x, I probably would have been like, what am I holding on to this
That's
stuff
what
for?
most people don't understand when they see
Yeah.
things like Evolving Skies at $800 or $700. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I sold it at $200." Like I said, it's like you would have sold it at $300. You never would have got to $800. Don't pretend like if you didn't sell it at $200, you'd be here at $800. Like, I'm a millionaire. It's like, no, you would have sold it at $350. And if you didn't sell at $350, when it hit $400, you would have definitely sold. And then at $420, you would have been like, oh God, $420.69, I'm selling right now. And then at $500, you'd have sold then if you still didn't sell. So like, there's no one. The people who have it at like 600 and 700, they bought most likely on the way up, is what I'm. Or they were big believers and investors, and they really did just put it in a closet and forget it, which is so hard to do in today's day and age, honestly.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that with some like a little bit, but I'm also just at that point to like if I can sell it now and make a profit on like why would I hold it? Because I can just like buy more in the I don't know, man.
Even though you're
It's
very
tough.
confident on the future of Pokemon, just like I am, you feel the same
I
way.
am. I am.
Yeah.
It's just tough for me. It's like I know that like if you buy good sets, given enough time, they're gonna move up in value. Are they gonna
Like
outpace
Brilliant
what I could?
Stars, I think is about to sell out, or if it
Yeah.
hasn't already sold out on the Pokemon Center. And Astral Radiance just sold out yesterday. The booster boxes did, and Lost Origin is selling out soon, I believe, if it hasn't already. Oh, you're muted, by the way.
Oh, what's
Um,
the chase? What's the chase card in Astral Radiance?
you're gonna laugh. It's Machamp, so you like Machamp, right?
Oh,
Machamp Beat.
oh, with him in the
Yeah,
market.
but I don't
Really?
believe
That
that's the
sold
chase
out
card.
first?
No, that's not going to be the overall chase card in the set. It's the Misty. It's the Starmie V Misty. That's going to be the chase card in the set. It's been steadily going up in price.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
It started off a lot lower at like $15, $20, and it's been going up. I think it's a $40 or $50 card now. The Machamp started off way higher. It's going lower and lower. It's steadied out a little more. But yeah,
I like that.
it's not a great set. It's not a very popular set, but it's got good cards in it. It's got some cool cards. So
that's interesting. I didn't. Yeah, that surprises me that that's like the first one. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's just tough. It's like, could I go buy a case of Brilliant Stars off of Pokemon Center, or try to find it on Facebook and get it cheap and like stick it in the closet? And yeah, but would I rather like take that $800 and go buy like singles and grade them, and like I can probably make that same money, or like I don't know. It's just so tough for me. But there is part of me, for content's sake, that wants to take a set chunk, like $5,000 or $10,000, and create like a portfolio and make like a spreadsheet in Excel with like what I bought everything for, and then like make a monthly update video being like, here's how my portfolio is doing. You know, like that would be like interesting content, I think. It's just, I don't know. It's just tough. It's just tough to, but there are certain things like, okay, here's what I will do. So I have like a listing for booster boxes on like Mercari and eBay and stuff. I have more, but I'll only list them in chunks of 10. So that if it sells out of my 10, I'll reassess, be like, okay, are these still readily available? What are they selling for now? And then I'll update the pricing. You know what I mean? So rather than like list, okay, I have 100 booster boxes of V-Star Universe, rather than just like put quantity 100 and let them sell through at the same price, I'm only doing them in chunks of 10. So like maybe that's kind of investing a little bit, because it's like, okay, they could go up in the future.
That's just minimizing your risk of potentially when the market moves too fast overnight and you get bought out. You then don't have to go and cancel a bunch of orders because it tripled overnight and you didn't really intend to sell that many.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say though, I am gonna back the truck up for Japanese 151. Like, I'm not buying any more sealed right now unless a crazy good deal comes out. I'm gonna save money for 151. I want to buy a lot of that for sure. But anyways, like we're off track. What start telling us about some of your impactful moments.
Well, your impactful hobby moment, this is what exactly was supposed to happen with this. It's supposed to get us in the mood talking about old Pokemon stuff, kind of what got us in. And some of your impactful moments were very similar and reminiscent of what brought me back and what I was going to tell stories of. So I think it's funny that the things that you remember sort of the most are like trades, basically, like big trades that you did.
Oh, wait, really quick before, because I know you're going to talk about some playability. I did never play Pokemon. I did play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I remember there's this one card called Raigeki, and it's just a lightning bolt. And basically, like, I mean, you can kind of understand this because in Pokemon, but basically what it would do, it was a magic card. There was no negative effect to it. All you had to do was activate it, and it killed all of the monsters on your opponent's side of the field, which basically, like, it would leave their life points exposed. Which like that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get the monsters off of the field so that you can attack your opponent directly and reduce their. So that card was busted, and I remember like all my friends knew that card was busted, and I remember seeing it in a card shop in the mall, and it was $30, and I was like, that's so expensive. Like, my mom never would have bought that for me, but I just remember like oogling over that card because it was so strong. So that's my one playability memory. But
so my playability, I am actually my memories in the hobby are ironically only slightly surrounded with playability. Like, obviously I played a lot when I was younger. I was one of those kids that actually loved playing the game. I looked at it as a game more than something to collect, which is, I know, weird thinking about it now like that, but that's not exactly what I was going to tell, because your story is exactly the same as my story in some way, because the two things that I remember most in the hobby that were the most impactful for me were also a trade and something getting stolen from me. So I think that those are going to be very similar things for a lot of people. I think we've all experienced something getting taken from our collection or stolen, whether you knew it at the time, which you didn't know until after the fact, or you knew it right at the time, which is what happened to me. I was very viscerally aware of it, and it very impacted me. But one of the biggest times in the hobby, or the most impactful time for me, was the moment that I actually stopped playing Pokemon for the very first time. And I've sort of told this story a little bit in the past, but basically what happened was I had been playing Pokemon for a couple of years at this point. I was probably like getting into the fourth grade, third grade, maybe. I was young, but I was like going up in age, and I started feeling like Pokemon was a little bit immature for me. And so I think I started liking like girls a little bit more, and like I was trying to be a little cooler and play sports. And at the time, that didn't involve like trading Pokemon cards. And so I was at my usual weekly hangout Pokemon card shop tournament, and I was playing Pokemon cards, and I had my deck that I had pioneered. It was basically like a Haymaker deck, which was a famous like there's a famous deck that people were playing in the day with like I think it had like Hitmonchans and uh, I think it had Chanseys and like some other weird like things in it, like plus powers. And it was just a quick basic Pokemon deck that was just meant to be easy, quick, and efficient. It was a really good deck. But I made a version of that deck that was just Hitmonchans and Scythers. And so I was playing that deck, which I did really well with, and I was winning a bunch of tournaments with it. And I didn't have any of my other cards that I was using because I was only using that deck for like a game. And I put all my cards under my chair. And I literally I was sitting there playing a game, and I had all of my cards stolen from me from right under my chair from somebody that was at the card shop, one of the 20 or so people that came in and out that were there regularly, from someone that I knew, like you, probably. And I literally, like, the moment it happened, or not the moment, but like a few moments after it happened, I finished my game. I was like, all right, I just won the game. Going on to the next round, reach under my chair to get my binder and my decks, my little Ultra Pro deck box that had like my 6 decks in it, my counters and stuff, and they were gone. And so, like, that moment, my heart just like sank, and I didn't cry. I remember specifically, I was too old to cry about Pokemon cards, and I didn't care that much. I cared, but it wasn't like a cry-worthy kind of moment. I wasn't the kind of kid that cried about a lot of things, though, so maybe I would have if I was a different kind of kid. But my heart sank, and I immediately was like, oh, my cards, where they're gone. And I started asking me, hey, have you seen my binder? Like, hey, I just have my binder here. Do you see it? I thought someone might have grabbed it or something. And like, obviously, it didn't turn up. It was a small enough shop though, so I was probably like 12 or 13 or whatever. My parents weren't there, but I knew everyone in the shop, so I went up.
They didn't have cameras?
No, they didn't have cameras. This is
Oh.
Oklahoma in like the late 90s, bro, like early 2000s, and like a little card shop that they were thought to be the devil. Like, that card shop played Dungeons and Dragons. They had computers that they played StarCraft and Diablo and Warcraft on, which those are all the devil in the 90s. They played, they had Beanie Babies on sale. They had Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering. So anyway, I went to the shopkeeper and I was like, hey, my binder's gone, blah, 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 when I can't, I don't know what I said to him, but I obviously was probably distraught. And he helped me try to find it, and he even went so far as like he knew me and knew my cards. He's like, hey, if anyone comes to try to trade these in or sell, I know. So he really went above and beyond and he went and asked everyone. He called a couple parents of kids that he thought were a little sketchy, and like, but overall, I never found the cards, and to this day, I never found them. And instead of just wanting to get back on that horse, I unfortunately ended up leaving the hobby. But I found Magic the Gathering because of that. So,
all right, and that's where the podcast ends.
So it was an impactful moment for me because it made me leave Pokemon and find Magic. And now people listening to this podcast might think that's like a sad story. But honestly, that is one of the best moments of my entire young life, because Magic the Gathering then, because I was trying to get out of Pokemon, I thought it was a little immature at the time. I started thinking Magic was a little edgier, a little bit like darker, it's a little more adult, right? And my friends and I started playing Magic instead. I kind of got them into Magic after the shopkeeper felt bad for me. He gave me a free pack of Urza's Saga. It was the current set at the time.
Okay,
And
it
I
all makes
opened
sense.
it right then, like feeling sad. And I opened the best card in the set at that moment. It was worth like 30 something dollars. Is a Stroke of Genius back then, which was good then. Not the best card anymore, but it was a huge competitive card. And he let me trade it in for like 6 more packs, basically, or like 6 or 7 more packs. And so I just kept on and I opened those and traded some of those in, got more packs. So like it jump started my collection in Magic, and he just from him feeling bad to me, and it got me into a new hobby and made me not feel so bad about the Pokemon loss anymore. And it introduced me into a whole new world, like of geek and of like geeky things. And so for me, even though it sounds like it's like a bad story because it's like it started with the theft of my all my favorite cards or whatever, it actually ended up being a good thing, and it led into my favorite like memories that I've had, because like I love Pokemon, right? I played Pokemon as a child. It was a card game that got me into card games. But Magic the Gathering I played competitively. I played for the longer amount of time. I have more memories surrounding Magic the Gathering, so it's just more of a nostalgia thing. So like until that, after that moment, it wasn't until this next moment, the Pokemon Go returning, that I really ever came back to Pokemon, because I stopped playing the games, I stopped collecting cards, I didn't really look at them or anything. And so it was really then Pokemon Go that got me back into the hobby again. So it was cool hearing you kind of talk a little bit about Pokemon Go, having sort of a connection with your reintroduction to the hobby when you sold your binder, kind of when your friend came and visited, because it was the opposite for me. I didn't go and sell my binder when Pokemon Go came out. Pokemon Go came out, I got really into it. I went and found my binder and I started looking again, and I thought it was really cool. And my friends and I actually, then this is the next moment. After Pokemon Go came out, my friends and I all found our old cards, what we had left. Like I said, most of my cards were kind of stolen, like my decks and stuff. The same thing, similar with a lot of my friends. So we didn't have a lot, but we all kind of got together, and we were living like in a communal kind of like I want to call it a party house. It was like young 20s, like four bedrooms, 2 bath. Like everyone's in community college, and you all split rent. You know what I mean? And people were in and
Yeah.
out a lot.
Yeah, a party
It was
house.
basically a party house, but it
Yeah.
wasn't. Weren't doing parties, but people were coming in and out all the time because everyone had friends. They all had their own set of friends. So those friends got together and all got their Pokemon
Was there
cards.
a couch on the porch?
There's a couch in the garage, and we hung out in the
Okay.
garage
Yeah,
most of the
close
time on the
enough.
couch. So yeah,
Close enough.
same thing. There were like chairs on the porch too for like the smokers when they'd go and smoke and stuff, you know. So we all got in that house in 2016. Basically, we kind of well, it was a little earlier than that actually. So it must have been like as Pokemon Go was announced, because I don't think we were playing it, but we were definitely juiced about Pokemon from Pokemon Go, maybe 2015. Um, we basically all got our Pokemon cards from when we were kids, and we all started playing in the garage again and our free time. So like we do our normal thing, but instead of like playing beer pong, we played Pokemon cards, like but the old school ones. And that's when we discovered how broken poison is and how imbalanced that the coin flip ability was back in the day. And so just for whatever reason, we started playing again in like 2015, 2016, right around Pokemon Go came out again. And that was what kind of got me finding my cards and getting back like, oh yeah, cards exist. And it was just a really fun moment. And like, it's just, if it wasn't for those moments, I probably wouldn't be selling Pokemon cards, making a podcast, or doing any of that, or talking about Pokemon anymore. So very impactful for me as well.
Okay. All right. I'm glad that eventually you shifted out of Magic the Gathering, but dude, it's so funny. Like I had friends that played it or whatever. Like I just it just felt like it gave me the ick. I don't know why, but I never got into Magic. I know that it's like a superior game for sure, but like and everybody like Takahashi was obsessed with Magic the Gathering and took a lot of inspiration from that to make Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
It took a lot of inspiration from Magic to make Poke. Like, I understand that it's very influential for sure and very historic. It just never, yeah, I don't know. It never hit for me. And like now getting into it, it's like I just couldn't do it because it's so hostile to collectors and grading and all that. It's like all game, the whole Rudy game piece art. It's like I don't have time for this. I'm probably missing out on some money there for sure, but
I don't know about that. The Magic thing is I will. I don't know. Magic is like one of those things that, like, the old stuff is worth a lot of money for sure. Like the old sealed stuff, like I know that for a fact. I just traded that Urza's box for like good value. So yeah, I get that it's, but like I struggle with like the new stuff, how it retains value. I get that they're game pieces and people want them. It's just I struggle with new Magic. That's all. So yeah, like my relationship with Magic is tumultuous at best. So is do you ever wish that you still had that Charizard that you sold in the binder?
dude, I still wish I had that whole bind. Like, because when I got back into the hobby,
Not for reselling purposes, but for
oh,
nostalgia purposes.
yeah, like especially like if I would have gotten back into the hobby like during the panorama and then been like, oh, I have that binder, like I was just in a different headspace and I was looking for nostalgia. It would have been nice to have that to go back to. And I actually remember going on eBay and trying to go through like my sales and trying to find the buyer username and trying to be like, can I get a hold of this guy and message him and be like, yo, I'll buy this binder back just to have. Obviously that never worked out, but yeah, I think it would have been cool to go like during that time when I was looking for nostalgia to come back, flip through everything and sort of like relive those memories. I just wasn't in the right headspace when I sold it. I probably was just like cleaning out my room at my mom's house or something, like when I came back for a weekend or something and was like, oh, I'll just flip this on eBay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like just yeah, definitely regret doing that. The Charizard wasn't even like obviously would have been worth the most money, but like the Suicune, I had the Houndoom from whatever Neo set that was, the one where he has like the thorns next to him. Do you know what I'm talking about?
There's two Houndooms from the Neo sets, and I mix them up all the time. I forget which is which. There's the one where he's howling up at the moon, and the other one.
Yeah, it's the one that's more like animation art looking, where he's got like the thorns. I think it might be Dark Houndoom. Maybe that's I don't know. But anyways, like I remember really liking that card a lot. Giovanni's Machamp. Yeah, man, it's a bummer for sure. Like I definitely still wish that I had that stuff to flip through, but you know,
I'm glad that I had two Charizards that from my childhood. I had a Shadowless and a Unlimited. I ended up selling the Shadowless like during the panorama basically for like $350, which I personally would rather have the 300 or 350 bucks. Or I mean, I would rather have the Charizard than the 300 or 350 bucks. Looking back on it, but it was a lot of money at the time, and I wasn't really a collector. And I sort of looked at my two Charizards, and I have two memories from both of those Charizards. So like the Shadowless one, I got in a shop, and so it wasn't really that meaningful to me, and I just had it forever in like a top loader, and it was in my collection. But I had a memory specifically associated with my Unlimited Charizard, base set Charizard, because I got it before the Shadowless one. Ironically, the Shadowless one I got a shop after the fact. The Unlimited one I kept, and I don't think I would ever forgive myself for getting rid of that Charizard, because it's the one that I traded my cousin a Pikachu for when we were both children. My kid cousin is about a year and a half younger than me. My mom is a twin sister. She has an identical twin. And she had a daughter who about a year and a half after I was born. So she's more like my half sister. Genetically, she's my half sister because we've also lived together when my mom and her twin, we grew up together in the same household for a period of time. So I view her as like my sister, but she's my cousin technically. But because of genetics and the way the identical twins have the same, we're basically half siblings. So think of her like my little sister at this point. She and I collected Beanie Babies and Pokemon together growing up. And so when we were opening Pokemon cards, once a week we'd go down to this like little this Asian mart. It was like a Pacific Islander mart. It was like a lot of like Hawaiian stuff and like Filipino foods and things and like island type stuff. But they had a Pokemon, like a little Kauai type section where they sold gift sets and like cards and like Hallmark stuff and Beanie Babies and Pokemon. So we would always go once a week with our allowance or whatever we were allowed to have. Our parents would buy us a pack of Pokemon cards each. And so I would always get the jungle cards and she would always get the base set cards. Because whatever reason, I wanted the newer set or whatever, the one that just came out. I would get base set when it first came, but I'd always go for the newest one because I was playing the game. She just wanted the cards to collect them. She just didn't care. She just get the base set. And so one time we're opening packs and she had never opened Pikachu before, right? And didn't have any Pikachus. And I had never opened Charizard before and he wasn't very good in the game. So I didn't really care much about him. So we're opening packs, right? And she opened the Charizard right then. And I opened my jungle pack and I had like a crappy, like a non-hollow Scyther and like a Pikachu. And she didn't have that jungle Pikachu yet. And so, I don't know if it was first edition or not. It doesn't mean any difference. Doesn't make a difference in the story if it's first edition or not. So me being the older brother that I was at, the taking advantage of my little sibling at the time, I was like, hey.
It's going straight to rattle.
Yeah, for sure. This is a rattle video for sure. I was like, hey, Nicole, you don't have this Pikachu yet, do you? Right? And she's like, oh, she loved Pikachu. It was her favorite Pokemon. She never bought jungle packs. So she only bought really base sets. That's all she knew. And she didn't know the difference. She was a little younger too. I had to have been like 10. She had to have been like 8 or 8.5 or 9 or something, And so she was like, oh, Pikachu. And I was like, well, hold on. This I know what I got here. I only have one of these. I only got one of these. And if you want this, you're gonna have to trade me that Charizard there. And she did not like Charizard. She didn't care at all about the Pokemon like that. She liked the cutesy, the Jigglypuff, the Pikachus. Like she did not like the Blastoises, the Charizards. She didn't care there was a holo, nothing like that. She wanted that Pikachu. And so I traded her straight up trade my common Pikachu for her holo base set Charizard. And so to this day, I still have the base set Charizard. And, it comes up once in a while as like a joke or whatever if I ever see her in family gatherings. But I could never get rid of that Charizard because it's such like a memory attached to it. It's so funny. And it's not even really my Charizard, you know what I mean? So I can't trade it because it's kind of like my cousin's Charizard. So I still have that Charizard in my binder, plus a lot of my other base set stuff. So I probably wouldn't get rid of that stuff, but
fair enough. Yeah, I mean, like, it's funny, like always the joke, like, oh, I don't collect or whatever, but I've just never been sentimental. And I think the binder story goes to show that. Like, I've just never been. And also, like, I wasn't really ever taught to, like, think about things having future value, really, as a kid. Like,
they were actually telling you the opposite with Pokemon cards. They say, oh, that stuff's going to be garbage. That's not going to be worth anything.
Yeah,
there was nobody who believed that. Anyone who says otherwise is crazy.
Like my grandma had, I remember she gave me, dude, she had every system. She had original Nintendo, Sega, Super Nintendo, and then like maybe one other system. And she gave them to me and I sold them all with like all the games so that I could buy like, and like looking back, I'm just like, dude, what an idiot. But like I was a kid, we were broke, I was raised by like a single mom and like looking back on that stuff, it's like, oof, that hurts. And there's a lot of memories attached to that because like I played video games with my grandma a lot. Like that was like one of our things we did was play like Super Nintendo and stuff together. She was always like a gamer, but yeah, I don't know. It's like yeah, you can't go back, right? So it just kind of is what it is. But
At a certain point, there's a price on everything, though. So even that Charizard, that base set Charizard I have there, if it became so ballooned in value where like that memory is still there, but it doesn't make sense for me to own it. The only reason I can still own it is because I consider the value to be low enough that it doesn't make sense to sell. Like the memory is worth more to me than that couple $100 because it's not a bad Charizard. It's probably a PSA 7. It didn't go pack to sleeve. It was pulled from a pack and then I got it, but then it went into my binder, not in a sleeve. You know what I mean? So it's probably like a 7. So, but like if it ever became like a $10,000 card in that condition, I would probably. And then inflation was like not the same as it is. So like if it was like in today's value $10,000, I would have probably sold it. But you know what I mean? So there, I think there's a certain thing. There's no shame in selling. It doesn't mean that you devalue, that you're not sentimental or whatever. I believe that you're sentimental with your memories just like everyone else would be. Just you hold that value in different things. You don't hold it in cardboard. You hold it in other things. So
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right.
all right, moving on though.
Yeah,
I feel like that did the job. What we wanted to do, get us in the mood, talking about some of these old sets, some of the maybe not just old, but some of the more modern sets and what makes them good. But for our next topic, this one's going to be sort of just a quick little intro into what makes sets good. Some of our favorite sets, maybe we'll discuss them. We've discussed it on the podcast before, but we'll kind of go through them again. And maybe some of the newer sets that come out and where they rank. But the best sets of all time and what they have in common. Nick, what do you think? If you had to put a top 3 together, what do you think your top 3 of all time would be? And then I'll give you my top 3 and maybe we'll compare.
Well, I think that my personal top 3 might like slightly differ from what the market thinks or what the overall community thinks. But like personally,
yeah, I want yours, not the market's.
Okay. Personally, like definitely Golden Sky, Silvery Ocean, so Unseen Forces.
It's a Japanese version of it. Yep.
Rocket Gang Strikes Back, so EX Team Rocket returns, and man, this last one's so it's probably like E series. So probably like I mean it's tough because they split them up in Japanese, but I would say like probably Wind from the Sea. I would think is probably like my favorite.
Is that like a part of Skyridge?
It's Wind from the Sea and Town on No Map make up Aquapolis, but
Aquapolis.
It's tough too because Town on No Map, like all the arts kind of work together. Like the Arcanine works with the Espeon. It like oh man. So I would just say like Aquapolis basically because in just stacked with like the best hollows. I would say yeah. So Aquapolis for our English viewers, Aquapolis, Team Rocket Returns, and Unseen Forces are going to be my top 3.
I'm surprised no Modern made it on there for you.
Well, okay, well that's what I was like. These are just my personal like favorites, but when we talk about like what the best sets of all time have in common, I already have like, and that includes Modern. So we'll get into that, but let me hear your top 3 sets first.
Okay, I understand what you're saying with that. Yeah. For me, it's a little bit difficult to kind of really rope in 3 because I do feel like it changes from day to day. But if I really am being honest with myself and I'm thinking about what my favorite sets really are, like thinking back on it and like how they hit me in the moment when they were releasing, and then how I think about it now. And in one of these sets, I wasn't around in the moment. I didn't have that experience with, but it still makes it on the list. So number 1 on the list is or let's do number 3 on the list. Okay, so number 3 on the list is probably going to be a surprise to some people, but not a surprise to others. But I honestly think that the Team Rocket, the very first Team Rocket set that came out, where they introduced Dark Pokemon, the English version of it is the 3rd set that they released. It felt like Jungle was it was like a completion. Jungle Fossil was like a completion of base set, but really Team Rocket felt like the expansion set. So that set changed the game in Pokemon for me. And to this day, I still have, it's the only vintage box I've ever done a box break of. So I have my box of it sitting up here above me. It sells really well. It always does the best out of all of those vintage boxes when it comes to WotC, the early WotC era. I think that Team Rocket is got to be, even though it's low on the list, it's got to be on that list. So, as far as WotC is concerned, base set doesn't make it. It's unfortunate. The historic reason for why base set is there. I mean, I understand why we needed base set, and I love base set, but it doesn't make it on the best sets of all time list for me. But Team Rocket does. So for the historic reasons, but also not just for that, for the reasons of introducing dark Pokemon and giving us so many great Pokemon in that set. You got Dragonite, you got the big three. You got like amazing uncommon artwork.
Is there Venusaur in Team
No,
Rocket?
there's no Venusaur. The Venusaur, Dark Venusaur, was a promo.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
is that, and it was the only Venusaur that they'd ever made before the shiny one that actually looked shiny because he has that yellow art, that yellow flower.
It's like the web. It's like it's web in Japanese.
In Japanese, it's a web series, yes.
Yeah.
But they had two different versions of it in Japanese: the web series and then the non-web series. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's a non-web.
I think you're right too. Yeah, I think you're right too. I think there's a regular version.
Web series is way cooler though, because obviously you get that beautiful e-reader, that look to the card that just makes
and the little different web writing. Like I actually prefer the web Gengar to the Masaki Gengar. But
I agree, and it's a lot cheaper too. So and it's the same artwork, and if you like that weird disco artwork that Masaki has, you get a little e-reader status of the web one too. So I always thought that was really weird that card was so much less expensive than the Masaki, but it has to do with population. Okay, so anyway, number 3, Team Rocket. I don't think anyone will be surprised it's on the list. Just how low it is on the list may be surprising to some. Number 2 and number 1, they were really hard for me to suss out. They go back and forth for me, but I honestly am going to have to do this because of how it's aged. And I think that Hidden Fates deserves a spot on my list, but it doesn't deserve the top spot on my list like I would have said probably when it first came out. So I don't think that Hidden Fates has aged as well as I would have believed it would. I still believe in the fundamentals of the set and that the pull rates are nice, but they're not too bad. They're not too good, so it feels like you get something really good in every pack. But you can open 4 packs and get a good hit, or you can open 4 packs and get a baby shiny. And so you feel like you got something, but still it's not So I think the hit rates in Hidden Fates are nice. The Pokemon are nice in Hidden Fates, but it just hasn't aged as well. And I don't mean appreciated in value. I just mean it's not a set that people continuously talk about and go back to and need the arts from. I mean, they talk about it, but it's not like people are like, oh my gosh, that Hidden Fates Charizard art, or oh my gosh, that Hidden Fates Umbreon full art. They're cool, they're big hits, but it's just a stacked set. So I do believe that since it's a set that got me back into the hobby in 2019, really back into the hobby, it made me start ripping packs again. And I've seen what it's done. And I do love this set, and I love the composition of this set. It deserves, in my opinion, to be on this list. So number 2 on my list is without shame, and it's better, in my opinion, than 151. A better constructed set was Hidden Fates because of what it was. The first of its kind. It introduced the Shiny Vault. It gave us sort of something that keeps going. I believe 151's a great set, but it's just it's such a dead brain concept. Just 151, first 151 Pokemon, give them some cool arts, and the rest of them, screw it. Give them a Master Ball in Japanese. They'll like that shit. So yeah, 151's great. It's great, but I just don't think it's fundamentally unique enough to make it onto this list. So I believe that Hidden Fates is the superior modern set, and that's what I'm putting there. So that leaves number 1, to nobody's surprise, at least not to your surprise, and to the viewer's surprise, is going to be the set that I will probably never own a sealed box of, that I want to own a sealed box of, but Unseen Forces. Unseen Forces is...
It's not like a $35,000 box or something.
Oh no, it's less than that. It's got to be less than that.
Really?
Kakuna Matata is breaking one right now, and he's got half of it sold out. I don't know what he's selling it at, but I don't think that it's $35,000. I don't think it's over $1,000 a pack. So,
okay. Huh.
I
All right.
believe it's probably a $15,000 to $20,000 box. It's a rare box, but I've seen them. I've seen them auction for I think 14 to 15,000 in the past.
Yeah,
Maybe more,
definitely
maybe less.
lower print, which is crazy. It's like such an insane set, but like less popular time during I'm
Yeah,
probably getting the 30,000 number from like when I looked at it during the boom when I first
yeah.
learned
During the
about this
boom, that would
set.
have been a $30,000 to $40,000 box. But
Yeah.
in these days, it's more likely like a $15,000 box. I'm guessing, if it were to go in auction or maybe higher in a private sale, from someone who didn't need to sell it. It is a rare box, and it doesn't have to do with that box that I want to own it sealed. It's to do with the set. I do believe it's the best set of all time. It wasn't necessarily something that I think was intended to be as good as it was, or well, I'm sure it was. They intend every set to be good, I bet, but like it just was composition wise. It was a Gen 2 set, so you got all the great, amazing Gen 2 Pokemon that never really got their shine except for in the Neo sets, really. And so you kind of came back to that in the EX in a great way. But not only did you get those Pokemon, but you got some of the old Gen 1 Pokemon too in there kind of thrown in. Some more newer as well, lesser known Pokemon. But the reverse hollow pattern in that set alone makes that sort of one of the best sets ever. It has the only reverse hollow Pokeball like hollow pattern that they ever made. And back in the EX era, they did
And the
everyone.
Pokeballs move through
They
the
move.
sky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
good. It's the best you'll ever see. There's no better. There's not a better one in the whole hobby. I don't care what anyone says. Cosmos Hollow isn't better. Like the Fire Red, the Team Rocket Returns one isn't better. Like there's the Deoxys one with that weird like wavy thing is not better. I don't care what anyone says. Unseen Forces remains unbeat. So I'm surprised that you could get over how good that the reverse hollow pattern was enough. And that's not even to mention the Gold Star dogs. I mean, the Gold Star dogs were sort of
Oh
ruined.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
ruined by
Yeah.
that binder. But that's why that box isn't a $50,000 box without the pump. Is because the gold stars in the set were stolen from the factory, and so there were hundreds and hundreds of these things mint condition in a binder that were leaked on YouTube, and everyone knows about them, and so it continuously devalues these gold stars so that you don't care about pulling one. Of course you want to pull one, but it's not why you're opening the box. If this was any other EX era set, those gold stars would be like the chase of the entire box. But now Lugia, Umbreon, Espeon, I mean, the list goes on. Those are now the chase of EX.
Oh, too, right?
O's in it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tyranitar, Scizor.
I mean, there's some Gen 2 Steelix. I mean, there's some Gen 2 heaters in the EX.
Politoed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, all of the Gen 2 exclusives from Neo, all the good ones that you would get like in that game first, like they were
Oh, and
made.
all three
Wigglytuff,
all three starters too. Typhlosion,
Oh yeah,
Feraligatr,
the starters
Meganium.
don't look great. The EX starters don't look great in that era. It's very like CG. I feel like the Typhlosion from
No. The Typhlosion is not the EX, like just the Hollow.
Oh, the
regular.
hollow. Okay, so
That's
the
the
hollow is
remember.
the
That's
next
the
one
one I
because
was
they're
like
not in
geeking
that.
out about. I'm like, this is $40. Like that. That's like Kusajima art, and then
That's right.
the Meganium I think is Nishida, and the Feraligatr is Fukuda.
That's the regular hollows are not EXs. That's right.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
starters are not in. Those ones
The
are in. I think
EXs are kind
yeah,
of
they
whatever.
look kind of CGI with the starters. I
But
didn't
the
like
EX
that.
Umbreon and Espeon are sick. Like the
Those
EX
are next
Espeon is
level. Yeah, the Espeon I think is a little better than the Umbreon. I think the
for
Umbreon is a more
sure.
popular species, but
Yeah.
the Lugia in that set is the biggest star. I think the EX Lugia in that set is just hands down one of the best Lugias of all time. The silver border on the color of the card just looks so clean on that colorless card. But yeah, EX Unseen Forces I think is to me the best set of all time. But okay, so what do you think though? What do some of these things have in common? Now that we've kind of both given our top three, and what do you think about that?
So I actually like agree with you about like the Team Rocket thing, and like what I'm gonna say about like what the best sets of all time, like market wise, I think that people would point to like 151. A lot of people would point to Team Rocket Returns, and I think a lot of people would pick Team Rocket 2 and maybe even like the gym sets. And I used to hate it when people said this because I'm like, who cares? Because as a flipper, I'm like, look, if it's got a cool card in it, if it's a popular Pokemon, I'm putting it in plastic and
You'll
making
say set
money.
identity, aren't you?
Yeah, it is, dude. It's like, okay, like every single time, like when these random sets come in, like Crimson Haze, it's like it has nothing to do with anything. There's no fire Pokemon in it. The chase cards are like Ursa Ring, or I think it's called Ursa Luna now with the whatever stuff they're doing, but it's like it's Greninja and Ursa Ring. Has nothing. It's like nothing is Crimson, nothing is Haze. Like it makes no sense. What are the best? And again, like you could be like, oh well, there's better cards than 151, but like when before we knew anything about the set, people were losing their mind just over the name 151,
Just
and that to me,
the concept
yeah,
of a set with all the original Pokemon. Yeah.
yeah. Team Rocket Returns is like it might not have been as popular, but during the time when it came out, but the reason now that people are so geeked on Team Rocket Returns is because it's like the cooler, harder to get because it was lower printed, slightly updated art of Team Rocket. It was like the cooler kid version of Team Rocket. And then
Team
again, Team
Rocket
Rocket.
walked, so Team Rocket Returns could run,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. So to me, it's just like it is set identity. When Pokemon sits down and thinks, and like even do Evolving Skies, like does Evolving Skies have the same set identity as 151? No, but it's got the Evolving, which is all the evolutions, which everybody loves, and then Skies, like they didn't even need to add anything other than Rayquaza because Rayquaza is such an expensive, high in demand, popular Pokemon.
Well, that's why the Eevee Heroes set in Japan did so much better,
Yeah,
in my opinion, is the set identity was so much cleaner. I will agree
yeah,
with that
that's a
set
good point.
identity. That's a really clean set identity for the Japanese version. Yeah.
No, 100 and that like that Eevee gym box has like such cool art on it. But yeah,
So
man, like
good.
it's
Yeah.
it as dumb as it sounds, as much as people have heard it on YouTube before, it really is the set identity. When Pokemon sits down and takes the time to create a set that makes sense, that doesn't just have like a random AI mashup of two like cool sounding words or whatever, that's when stuff goes nuts. And that's when people go nuts and really appreciate it.
And
So
look at
that's my take.
evolutions too. I want you to look at evolutions as a set. And I know that's not on either of our set lists as like best sets of all time. And I don't know if it would make it on a lot of people's set lists of that, but it certainly deserves to be at least mentioned in this discussion because what was it about evolutions that made it so popular and so appealing to the masses? Because maybe it's not the best set of all time, but it certainly is one of the most popular sets and most like appealing sets of all time for the general public just to buy a pack of. So what is it about that? And it
Well, I
was
think I
the
think
set
like
identity of that, I think.
yeah, well, I mean, like you could say that evolutions, it's like, okay, well, this is like the reprint of base set, but like
It's
they
the
had the
old and the
mega.
new. It's the
Yeah,
evolution of Pokemon. They smashed up.
yeah,
They gave people the nostalgia that they love, but there wasn't just that. It wasn't like the classic collection where it was just nostalgia, just reprints. They gave it that with the new cards mixed in with like the mega evolutions, the gold borders, the crazy EXs. You know, when Evolutions came out, it wasn't the Charizard from base set that was the chase. Nobody wanted that card. It was a $10 card. Literally, the chase was the EX Charizard, the Mega Charizard that's like $100 in a PSA 10 now. The first sales of that card were ridiculous in PSA 10s. And that was the chase of the set. It was like, it was a different era, and Pokemon knew that, and the identity of the set was so clean. It was a reprint, but then the things they didn't reprint, they gave Mega Blastoise, they gave Mega Venusaur, Mega Charizard. It was the new thing, so it really did fit well with exactly, and it brought people in, and it exposed them to something they already knew, or I mean, it gave them something they already knew, but then it exposed them to the new thing that they were doing that they wanted to push. So it was an extremely successful set because of that set identity. And so, I mean, yeah, I think that you and I think we've kind of gotten to a very obvious but pretty conclusive.
it's just the truth, man. Like
Yeah, it's the
it
truth.
just is what it is. Like when they take the time and make something that makes sense and really like cook, and they do like maybe one of those every year, every 2 years or whatever, that's the thing that goes bonkers. I mean, like even when I look at like Brilliant Stars, it's a Charizard set. It's a cool set. I think it'll do well. But like, what about that set says Brilliant Stars? The chase cards are Charizard and Lugia. Like, it's like what? Like you could have called it like Flight something or like something
It's
to do with the fact that
Arceus,
they're.
not Lugia. Lugia is in Silver Tempest, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's
Well,
Arceus and
isn't
Charizard
there
that you can chase.
Lugia V-Star in Brilliant Stars?
No, Silver Tempest.
No?
Silver Tempest. Yeah.
What? Maybe I'm tripping.
Lugia V-Star is Silver
Hold on.
Tempest. That's a set that Lugia came out. Yeah.
Really? Even the
Arceus V-Star was the big one, and Whimsicott V-Star were big. V-Stars were introduced in Brilliant Stars. So that was a set that they introduced the V-Star mechanic from the V mechanic. They're moving away from V-Max, which I thought was a really weird thing because V-Star and V-Max are very similar. Like I hardly see the difference. So, but yeah, they moved away from V-Max and they started doing the Arceus thing and the Charizard thing.
Okay, I'm
so
tripping.
The 3 V-Stars in that set, I believe, were Whimsicott, Arceus, Charizard.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like I don't know. Like that's
the thing. Set identity is very important. I would agree that even Brilliant Stars, even though I think it's a good set, I don't think it has as much set identity as something like Evolving Skies, like we're seeing. And I will say that there's some things that set identity can't fix. Like Vivid Voltage, for example, is a set with very good set identity, in my opinion. But it's just a subpar set. It's not a great set. It was printed a lot. It doesn't have a lot to chase. It has that one Pikachu. It doesn't suffer from bad pull rates. I mean, you get good pull rates in it. And the chase card is really hard to pull, but it's just not very, it's just something about it. It's not in the running anymore. So what is it about Vivid Voltage that isn't in this conversation, but these other ones are?
It's just different. Like when I think about like 151, it's like it's like everything. You get the big 3 starters, but then you get the evolution lines, and then you get the God Pack where you can pull the evolution lines, and then you have the actual like set list where it's not random. It's actually the whole concept
in the order of the Pokedex.
Yeah, like it makes sense. Like I can't, when we were doing the rankings of the sets or what, I can't remember what set it was, but it was like there was one set and it was like Caterpie, Metapod, and then Growlithe, but no Arcanine and no Butter. It was just like this is just all over the place. It makes no sense. 151 makes sense. And like Team Rocket Returns, it's like you have the Pokemon that are popular and in relation to Team Rocket popular, and it hits. And it also came out at the time when, like Ruby and Sapphire was popular. So having like the 3 starters as golds, like it makes, maybe those aren't necessarily related to Team Rocket as much, but all the other Pokemon, I don't know. Like it just.
Can I say a hot take about Team Rocket Returns?
All right. What you gonna say?
I really don't like the set. I think it's awful.
What?
I think the artwork is awful. I think the reverse holo pattern is mid at best.
The reverse holo pattern is no way, dude. Yeah. With all the different symbols, like you don't like.
So lame. Yeah, it's not even that good.
No,
like,
you're beyond
the fire red leaf green to that for sure.
You're beyond
the standard one, but
oh my god, you're crazy.
The reason I don't like
Art Slowking
is because of the CGI art. It's so prevalent in that era. And
what about the regular holos though? Like Dark Slowking? Like come on, dog. Like
there's a few regular holos that snuck past the CGI artwork that will be okay, but most of the EXs, most of the
Snorlax kind of hits though. Like the Snorlax EX, like come on, you don't like.
Where's this? He's like sitting head with his no.
No. Snorlax, where he's just like sitting there eating the. He's like
Snorlax. I'm sorry, I thought you meant Slowking.
No. He's just like sitting there eating like fruit, like bananas or something. He's just like sitting.
I feel like it's once again it suffers from the same issue that a lot of that era does with the EX era, is that it's very close up, it's very computer generated, and it's very CGI, and it's just not good.
What about the gold stars? Do you like the gold stars?
We're gonna get into that in the next tier because,
Okay.
the one thing I like about Team Rocket Returns, the only thing I like about Team Rocket Returns, not the only, I like its set identity. Like, I agree with you that it's a good set identity. People like dark Pokemon. It's cool that it's Team Rocket. The art itself sucks, in my opinion, so I can't stand behind it on that.
I can't believe you don't like the reverse hollow pattern. That's insane to
It's
me,
not that I
dude.
don't like it. I don't love it. Everyone loves it, and I'm just like at like it level. I'm like at mid level. I'm a legitimate. I rate it 6 or 7 on the scale compared to some other EX eras. I think that some other era EX reverses don't even get talked about, and they do talk about Team Rocket Returns, and I don't understand because the reverse hollow pattern's so much better in these other sets, and the artwork's better. But I know it's a hot take, but I
The
personally,
Kazuki jump love? Come on. Oh, and the Dragonite. The Dragonite, I don't know if that's a pack pull hollow in English, but in Japanese, that dark Dragonite is it comes out of the deck, and that's still one of the cards I'm like, I kind of regret selling, but
I'm trying to think of the artwork of the Dark Dragonite from Team Rocket Returns. Is it another one where he's like really up close?
Kind of, but it's not CGI. Like I don't
But
know how
I
to.
just don't like that type, that prime, like that, where it's like an up close look at their face of the Pokemon. You know, I really don't love that.
I'm looking at this Hypno, the dark Hypno, and next time I have Jake Smith on the channel, I'm photoshopping his face onto the dark
Is the
Hypno.
Dark Hypno? That's not the one that he's stealing the dream out of the window, because that's the
No,
one
that's
from
E series.
Aquapolis, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
dark
and that's my
Hypno. He
favorite
like
Hypno.
looks nuts, and he's like swinging the pendulum
Oh,
back. Like
that's
he looks.
I don't like that one either. Yeah, so
Oh
I
my
just don't
god.
like the artwork and the look of the Team Rocket Returns card. So I always get this whenever people talk about the set and they're so enamored with it. I don't love the set. I really don't love it, and like it just.
I can't.
But I mean, I get it, like the set construction and everything. But it's just I don't get the art itself. Now, Team Rocket, on the other hand, that's good. That's really good. Like I
Here, I'm
love.
linking really quick. I'm putting in the chat the link to the Snorlax. Look at that and tell me if you like, because it is close up, but like I don't know, it's like kind of cute and goofy to me.
Okay, let's pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up here
The
because we can actually share
Snorlax.
the screen. So, where is it?
Why didn't they do a Rockets right? I hate it when they do that, dude. When they do like 2 of the dogs but don't do the third one, or like they only do like they did all 3 of the birds.
Yeah, I don't like it at all. I honestly, it's not that I don't. I don't even like it. I
I'm
dislike it.
so hurt. My
I
heart
dislike
hurts
that. That
right
is an
now.
ugly Snorlax. It is the most like.
My heart hurts right now.
Look at him. He's just sitting there. He's literally just.
That's what
Sitting there.
Snorlax does. He sits there and eats.
I know that's what he does, but there's so many
he's a chubby
better
checker.
versions of Snorlax. No, I'm sorry. That one doesn't do it for me. That one's
My heart
certainly not.
hurts right now. I'm in pain. I'm in pain.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, that's why I say it's a hot take, because I know I'm probably one. But like, just look at the artwork. Look at it. Look at him.
I think it's cute. I think it's goofy. I like Snorlax a lot.
Sugimori Jungle before that one, like any day, like every day. Honestly,
They're just different. They're just different. Some of the art in here I don't like some of the art, like the Mewtwo is ugly as hell to me. The Scyther.
What's the Snorlax? I think it's from Call of Legends, where he's sitting under the tree and he's that big black hole is in front of him, and he's like sitting there under a tree and he's like spitting a black hole out. I think that one's
like
cool Snorlax.
I think that's like lost. There's a lot of really good Kazuki art in Team Rocket Returns too, like the Azumarill Hollow and the Jumpluff Hollow.
Okay, the Azumarill one, no, never mind. No, I'm thinking of Aquapolis again. Why do I keep wanting to think that some of the artworks from Team Rocket Returns are actually Aquapolis artworks? I have to stop myself because they're actually good artworks. Whereas if it's from Team Rocket Returns,
look at the Azumarill.
I should know better.
The Togepi, I think is the Togepi Kazuki too. Yeah, the Togepi is Kazuki.
If I remember correctly, is Team Rocket Returns the one with the Togekiss hollow that has that beautiful rainbow hollow pattern in the background? Togekiss is flying. It's a regular hollow.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I don't.
That's Team Rocket Returns. Okay. I forget. I take it back. There is a card in Team Rocket Returns that I think is one of the most beautiful Togekisses ever. And it's that Togekiss. The regular hollow Togekiss from Team Rocket Returns, in my opinion, is beautiful. That's not ugly art. There are arts like that in the set that I very much so enjoy. But then you have crap like this Snorlax or like any of the other EXs. It's just like, why do people love this and simp on this so hard? Just because it's a rocket set? I get, and that's low pop. Low pop. Oh, the low pop is gonna come and
no!
get ya.
Oh, dude, they're gonna drag you for
I hope they
this
do. I
one.
hope the low pop boys come and drag me for that, because you cannot win me over just because something's like hard to find if it's mid art. So that's pretty mid art to me if you look at that Snorlax.
Oh no. Okay, I will say
Arita?
this though.
I think that's an Arita Snorlax too, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
No,
If it was, dude, Jake Smith has got a red dot on you right now.
It's Arita. It's Arita.
Oh no, Jake
What
Smith,
are you doing,
cover
dog?
your
What are
ears.
you doing, Arita? I'm
Cover
sorry.
your
I love
ears.
you. I love your art, but I don't love that Snorlax. Oh,
All right,
no.
really quick. Hold on. I'll send you this. Like, look at the Kazuki. Like, look at the Kazuki really quick. Click that Azumarill link.
Yeah, we're gonna change over to the Kazuki so we can.
And then after this, we gotta keep it because we got one topic. But where was the other one? Yeah, just look at the Azumarill. The jump luff's cute too, but and then I'll do the Kazuki because it's kind of like the old school Kazuki style, like when she did Hitmontop from Neo.
Okay, so I think this is the artist who did the Togekiss that I was talking about. So there, like I said, the artwork from the set that's like this, I'm here for.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay, I'm here for this. But
yeah,
the other stuff, the CGI stuff, the Arita stuff, apparently, like, woo.
Yeah, she did the Togekiss. Yeah, she.
Okay, so yes, that's what I mean.
Togetic. Not
Togetic, my bad. Yeah, not Togetic. It's you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all. I'll stop there. I'll stop offending people. I know I'm already getting angry in the comments. I can hear the keyboards clicking now. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the help with the algorithm. Not that it helps much. Oh no. Speaking of algorithms, first of all, I just recently we shouted out the Brandon Martin YouTube recently, the Pokémon YouTube. He's not going to be doing it apparently anymore. He just said he's going to stop doing the vlog. So
what?
Yeah, I don't know if it was clickbait, but he's like, yeah, this is going to be the last one as of like today. So
nah, dog, come on.
So sucks for that, but shoot, where was I going with that?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was literally going somewhere with that, and I completely forgot because it bummed me out. Shoot, I forgot. Okay, never mind.
Dude, that hurt. Like, oh man, like I was actually starting to really enjoy his stuff too. That kind of
that's what I mean. He just said in his last video he's not doing it anymore, and I literally had a point. I wasn't just shouting that out again.
So is he still gonna make videos on the channel though?
I don't know. He's gonna probably do his Mystic Rips thing, whatever he's doing. But shoot, that bothers me because I was going somewhere with this. Dang it. Okay, well, anyway, let's just move on to the next one. Next topic.
All right.
Okay, so the next topic here is going to be a fun one. We're not going to do our usual thing where we go on and on and on. We're just going to rank these and kind of talk a little bit about them.
This could get dangerous.
But it's going to get volatile because
we almost need a timer. We need to set a timer every time we rank one or something. I got to put a timer on my iPhone.
Right. So anyway, we have this beautiful tier maker. Is this showing up right? Because I only have one screen, so I only see it.
Yeah. It looks good. I made it full screen.
Okay, cool. So we have a beautiful tier chart here, and on this chart, it's going to have all of the gold stars minus one very, very important one. So we're gonna have to imagine, and at the very end, we're gonna rank the last one where it should be. And Nick, do you see which one is missing? You see what's left out?
Is it Umbreon and Greninja?
No, those are so Umbreon. Or no, Greninja, sorry. The Umbreon should be on there. Where is it? Did they leave Umbreon and Espeon out? They left. Okay, so this isn't incomplete. I wasn't even thinking about Umbreon and Espeon, but since you brought it up, they did leave them out. Man. So we're going to have to put those on the list too. So there are three really important gold stars, and the main one being Greninja. But obviously, Umbreon and Espeon need to get on there too. So we'll put those on at the end. We'll do a little tier chart, but we're gonna start with all of the rest. But let's just kind of go from the left to the bottom. So starting with the Gyarados and then with Charizard. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, rock and roll. We'll just go one at a time. You want to go first?
Yeah, and I don't want this to be based on population report or value. I'd like you to, if you
Just pure
can
art.
somehow take that bias and set it aside and be it based on art, based on desirability, and what you just like about the card.
Okay.
Like, for example, the Gold Star dogs, like we talked about, I don't want you to think about them being ruined by those binders. If you love one of, like, Suicune or something, put it high on your list. Don't think about the value, or,
Okay.
don't think of it that way. And that's where I want the viewers to look at this from, too, is we're not thinking of this as, like, what's the most valuable or most desirable. We're thinking of just, like, what's the coolest, like, which ones do we like? So, all right.
Yeah, I'm pulling them up on TCG Player so I can see the large screen picture of the hearts. So, all right, you go first.
Gyarados. On this list, Gyarados is always, just on my personal list for the Gold Stars, Gyarados has always been in my top 3. I personally think that the Delta species version of Gyarados, matching the red card with the red Gyarados, and this red Gyarados in general being a really cool shiny, I think it's one of the top 3. So for me, it's an S tier. So I have to. I've seen other people rank it lower, which I think is wild, but I got to put it up in the S tier. But I'm not trying to start up. But what do you?
Yeah, you're not going to get any argument from me on that one, for sure.
Okay. Is there something in particular that stands out about it, or is just basically what I said?
I mean, the art's great, but like, I mean, I like the Delta stuff just in general, but also just the fact that like shining red Gyarados is so massive to like everybody's childhood and experience with Pokemon. It's like if you're out there and you're like, I don't like red Gyarados, like I don't know. I don't know. At that point.
What set is that from? Is that Holland Phantoms? I think, is it Gyarados?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not good with
Yeah,
sets.
so that's Holland Phantoms. In English, it should be Holland Phantoms. And I personally think in that set you have a chance at getting, if I'm not mistaken, it's the Mewtwo or the Gyarados, and then maybe that's it. Oh no, and then maybe the Alakazam. No, that's Crystal Guardians. Alakazam's Crystal Guardians.
Yeah, Alakazam.
So yeah, I think it's just those two. I think it's a Mewtwo and the Gyarados. And man, those are some really good, or is it not? I don't know. I don't know what sets the Gold Stars.
I'm terrible with sets, dude. Like even
so, yeah,
in
maybe we won't do
Japanese,
that with all of these, because this is gonna end up being wrong if that's the case. But yeah, Gyarados S tier, good way to start off. But
what's the next one? Is Latios?
Yeah, that one. Why don't you start with that one and tell me where you want me to place it, and I'll tell you if I agree with it.
I'm gonna go with like a C. It's kind of mid to me. I like Latios as a Pokemon, but the art is like, it's all right. It's just all right. It's like not like, yeah. I don't want to get ranty because
I'm tending to agree with you on that one, and I know it's from EX Deoxys, and I know that the low pop people out there and the people who aren't able to separate that from like, maybe there's a lot of the Latios. Is it Latios or Latios?
No, Latios is the red one.
Okay. So it's Latios. And so Latios, there's probably some fans out there, but I tend to agree with you. I think
is there both? Is there a Latios Gold Star?
Yeah, he's yellow. He should be. Yeah, he's.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I remember.
Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna put him as a C tier. I agree with that sentiment. I was gonna say something similar. I was gonna apologize to all the EX Deoxys lovers out there, because I know that alone will make people place that a little higher, because it's a really, really rare one to find. Like, as far as finding them in the wild, this is one of the harder ones to find. But it's probably one of the lesser important ones to me. So I agree with you on that one. So, all right, let's go to the next then. Vaporeon. Now, this is an interesting one. I personally love the evolutions, but I think out of the evolutions, the Vaporeon is probably the best of them. But I don't think any of them are like S tier. Even though I love them all, I think they're all kind of like, they're like B or B plus tier almost. So I want to put Vaporeon I kind of want to put it in like a B plus. I feel bad about it because I think Vaporeon is a really popular Pokemon. I think it's a really cool artwork of Vaporeon too. I think it's really good. I just don't think it's very exciting, shiny, really. And I don't know. What do you think? Am I dusted with the B plus or B?
I would say out of all of them, my favorite is the Vaporeon for
Mhm.
sure. I would personally lean more towards a B, and then I might put the other ones in C.
Oh,
But
really?
the Vapor, yeah, the Flareon is ugly to me. It
You
doesn't
would
do
put
it.
those in the C? Okay,
Yeah,
we're gonna have to
Flareon,
argue.
Flareon and Jolteon get a C. Vaporeon gets a B from me at least.
I agree with the B tier. I do think that it leans a little heavier to. I think it leans more towards the B plus tier. If I was gonna like give it a plus or a minus or something, but I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
agree with you. I think a B is solid for Vaporeon.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, so moving right in, you want to try to throw the
Yeah, I mean, I
Flareon
guess
into
just in the
C?
interest of time, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that'll take my thing. I'm going with C for Flareon and Jolteon. It's like they're just the Flareon specifically is like nah. It doesn't do it for me personally. Like
I,
sorry, but
I want to call to your attention some of the other Pokemon that are on this list, and I just want to say that there's such a thing as being a B plus, B minus, and a solid B, and I just don't think that the two other evolutions deserve to be on the C tier, even if it's C plus. So I really want to make an argument for maybe a B minus for the Flareon, for
I mean,
simply
I'll let you have it. It's just like the
well, I don't want you to
Flareon.
let me have something. I
I
want to make
listen, I like a lot of Flareon arts, but I think specifically like the shiny version of it is just kind of mid because it's like the color I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. It's like a weird faded orange. It looks like Cheeto dust.
it's
It's
the
like
same
it's
reason I don't like the other evolution shinies. It's like most of them, besides the Espeon, which is the superior of all of the
yeah.
evolution shinies,
Yeah,
are
100%.
basically mids. Like Jolteon, you can't even tell. I know that in Pokemon Go, when I'd evolve my shiny Eevees and Jolteon, I would not be able to tell at all if it wasn't for like literally the sparkles on the animation. So I I don't want you to give me anything. I don't want the viewers to think that this was not like it was a gift of some sort. I just honestly don't believe that they deserve to be on the C tier when you have Pokemon like Celebi or like Torchic or Metagross that I think are
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Like I'm
C
not
tier.
even if the Pokemon are weak, like dude, I like the. All right, let's just keep going. Let's just
Okay,
keep
we'll
going.
keep it a C, but just know that I believe I think it deserves to be on a B tier because
All
I don't
right.
think I won you over on that argument, but I do believe that I believe I had some solid takes. Anyway, let's go on. Okay, Latias. I think this is Latias,
Yeah, that's
the yellow
Latios.
one.
Yeah, yeah.
We're probably getting them wrong, but whatever it is, I can't see. I have old eyes. Latias, I believe, deserves to be on the C tier with his brother, not its lover. Contrary to popular belief, the Latias are brother sister. They are not lovers, contrary to that heart that they. I guess it could be sibling love that the team up artwork's meaning, but I don't know. What do you think about it?
I agree. Again, like I'm a huge Ruby Sapphire stan, but the art on those two is just there's way better Latios and Latios arts. So
The Ultimaris being the best of them, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
those are good. Those are good. I like the Heart Gold Soul Silver legend. It's called like Special Pack in Japanese, but those are really cool too. I like those a lot. But yeah,
Okay,
all
so
right.
moving in to the next one, Groudon. Oh gosh, will you start this one for me since I kind of took the other one?
Groudon. I'm looking at on TCG player. Mm, oh man. Like a C might have to go on a C for me.
What does it take? What does it take to impress you,
I feel so
dude?
I feel so bad, but it might have to go on. All right, like we could put it on B. How about B? Can we meet at B?
Okay, so putting Groudon on the B tier feels okay. It feels good, but putting it in C tier feels straight up wrong. It makes
Okay,
me
all
feel
right, B
icky
tier.
inside because, listen, I don't think Groudon's like the most popular Pokemon or anything. Hell, I don't even think he's very popular at all. As far as legendaries are concerned, he hardly ever gets talked about. For gold stars, though, I personally think this artwork and this specific Groudon goes hard. And the freaking shiny Groudon is the only Groudon, in my opinion. The yellow, it looks so good. And there aren't any other really versions of them. I think, what is it, like the one that was in Call of Legends, right? I think that's the only other version we got of Shiny Groudon. Yeah, dude, this is a great shiny. I personally think a B tier. You can make an argument for a high B, but I don't think it. I don't think it could go higher than that. So yeah, I think B's right, but I couldn't let you put it on C. That couldn't. You already put the Flareon on the C, and I totally disagree with that. But Groudon,
All right.
that's mean.
Compromise is the key to successful friendship.
Happy
So
podcast relationship, yes.
yeah.
Okay, moving along though. How about Entei? I guess I'll place this one here, so I won't make it too hard on you. I personally think this is a probably a C tier, maybe a B minus or a C plus. I mean, I like that it's got a little bit more going on to it than like the other dogs do, but it's just like I think it's like a C plus to me, if I had to. But what do you think? Tell me I'm wrong.
I'm trying to find it. I don't know. I'm gonna have to give this one a B. Well, I mean, he doesn't look that much different than like regular Entei, which is kind of the case with a lot of shinies in general. But I'm not mad at that. I like how his paw is like stepping on the name, or the, not the nameplate, but the border.
I just like how the artist, was it Fukuda?
Yeah, Fukuda, yeah.
Fukuda, yeah, he does a good job with all of them, honestly, like that. The Charizard, the fireball blowing out of the picture is my favorite one.
Yeah, I'm so bummed. Like, we've been talking about them making the next chase be full art gold stars. I'm so bummed that they're doing megas. It's like, dog,
don't you put that energy out there. It's still not too late for them to put a couple gold stars in the last few sets.
Really?
So don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, Ricky Bobby. Like, yeah, all right. I mean, fingers crossed, man. But it kind of seems like the EX, they were going more towards like the spit it out. Like, they were going more towards like the XY era EX rather than like mid era EX. So I'm like,
could have had a bad one.
Yeah, could have. But
yeah, okay. So what are you thinking about Entei? What do you think about him?
I'd give it a B personally. I'd give it a B.
Give him a B?
I like it. Yeah, maybe, it's
okay,
art.
I'm going to give it to you, but I just want to know. I have to say, I disagree. While I like it, I think a B is a little high. I think a C plus is where it probably deserves to be, but I'll give you the B. But once again, I think this is a C plus. I think this one is.
All right. Well, I mean, you've already compromised with me, so if you want to stick it on C, we can. That way, it's
we'll leave it there for now. But I want you to. We're gonna look at the list at the end, and we may do a little adjusting based on that because I think that Entei is gonna make his way down when we look at the rest. I think Raikou's a hard C for me personally. What do you think? I kind of railroaded on that one, but I'm gonna rank it as a C. But I want to hear your reasoning behind it and what you think about that.
On Raikou?
Yeah, Raikou.
Let me look really quick. Raikou gets.
I actually want to change my answer and say D on this one. Looking at
a D? No,
the most basic Raikou I've ever seen. It doesn't look anything special about it. I've seen 1,000 Raikous just like it. I can't even see the gold star on the card because it's yellow. Like
we gotta meet it at least C then. We got it because like I'm not mad at this at all.
Okay, I just wanted to change mine because I looking at it after I said that I felt bad about it. I was like looking at some of the other C's on there. I like both the Latias and the Latios better, and I definitely like the Flareon better. So I think it's a D tier, honestly.
Jeez, Louis. All right, you gotta put it on C then. We got.
Okay, you can have C, but here's why I think it's a D tier. First of all, I've seen Raikou in that pose every single time. You always see him with the stupid lightning pillars. And he doesn't even look shiny. He looks the same. He's like one of the worst defenders.
I think it's like just his tail, or like the
It's his
mane.
paws. Something about his paws, I think, are a little darker too. I remember in Pokemon Go having to learn it, but okay.
Well, his mane, instead of being purple too, it's like yellow. But yeah,
it's not different. The mane's not that different. It's a very like
it's purple to yellow. That's like hugely different.
Is it really? Is it purple?
Yeah,
though?
look up regular Raikou.
Oh, I guess it's kind of a light purple, isn't it?
No, it's yellow. Look on the.
No, the regular Raikou.
Yeah, no, regular yellow, or yeah, regular Raikou is purple.
Like a light purple, right?
I mean, all right. What about all right?
Anyway, moving on.
Right.
This next one, Mew, is gonna probably ruffle a few feathers here. Maybe not, though. Maybe not. I personally think Mew's an A tier. I know that for the same reason that I ranked the Gyarados an S tier, I could probably give the Mew an S tier. I think you can make an argument for being S tier. I really like the matching blue on blue shiny. I think Mew in general is just a great popular Pokemon, and I personally just love this Mew. But I'm gonna have a hard time putting it up there in the S tier because I want to be really, really hard on the S tier. So I think it deserves an A to an A plus, but maybe not an S. What do you think?
I mean, in the interest of time, I'm just gonna let you have it. I want to let you have it.
Wait. What do you think about it? What do you mean? Let me have it. What do you think?
The art it doesn't do it for me. It's not one of my favorite Mew arts. I like the fact that he's blue, but it's like it's okay. It's all right. It's all right for me.
Okay, so I hear you. I hear you on that. And I don't want to come across as like being unwavering or anything, because I definitely am willing to hear some compromise on this one, because like that's the reason I didn't want to put it on the S tier, is because it just doesn't feel right putting it up there with some of the other bangers that are going to be on that list. So like I'm already looking at the end of the list, and the Charizard to me is going to go on the S tier. I'm sorry, it is the best of all the gold stars in my. So like having
classic Pokemon consumer. I'm just kidding.
But, you know, it is what it is. But I think I agree. I don't think it deserves to be on the S. So where do you think it would deserve to be if you weren't going to compromise? Where would you personally put it?
I mean, you're not gonna like it, so I
want to hear it now.
I mean, Mew's a C for me, art wise. It's
C?
It's a C. I'm sorry, dude.
Well, you don't need to apologize. I'm just gonna have to disagree with that one, though. Okay, so that's
what I'm saying. In the interest of time, I'll let you stick it. On A.
How about the B tier? We'll call it a solid B plus.
All right, that's fine.
Because I think that the Mew collectors out there would literally unsubscribe from us, and there's a significant amount of them if we put it any lower than B. And I don't think that there's enough of an argument to be made to put it in the C tier. I mean, look at some of these other C tier that we're putting in.
Yeah.
Besides Flareon, which is just undeserved. Okay, going back to.
So with Celebi, here's the thing. I like the color typing, or like the color of the shiny Celebi, but when you zoom in and look at the art, the arm is just like a chunky like chicken wing. It's just like this it's just this big derpy, like the proportion, like if you look at the other arm, it's a lot smaller, and then he's just got this like fat like chicken tender hanging off, and like that just kind of throws me off. It's a B minus, C plus for me. What do you think?
Yeah, so like I want to put this in the C range, but at the same time, it feels like the coloring on it. And so for me, it's really, how does the card match with the shiny? And I really like the green and the purple look and like the whole vibe of the card. So it feels like, I don't know, like me putting it in the C, even though that's my initial reaction, I feel like I want to put it a little higher up. So to me, I think it's like a C plus B minus maybe. So it could go either way. I think I kind of agree with you though in that the wing, the chicken wing arm.
It just looks like a chicken tender, bro.
It's like
pop that off and dip it in some honey mustard or something.
It doesn't look so good. I've seen better Celebis. Let's just say like I've seen a ton of good Celebis, and I don't know if this is one of the best ones. So I guess I'll agree with you on the C tier. I'm gonna say it's a C2, and it just doesn't feel great, but it feels right. So we're gonna say C for the sake of time. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, next one, Pikachu. I want you to take this one again because
okay.
I don't know what I need to hear what you say about it first.
Dad bod Pikachu in the kind of like the DBZ stance gets a B for me. It's solid, but it's not quite like amazing, but it's solid. And I like the contrast of like the blue background with the lightning and then the sort of orangey tinted Pikachu. So it gets a B for me. Maybe even a B plus, but not quite an A or an S. So
I hate to say it, but it's kind of a miss for me. Like the only reason that I think that I'm going to agree with you on that and put it on the B, and it's going to be a B minus for me, like a really weak B minus too, like 80.01. You know,
all right,
like,
we'll meet it B, but yeah, okay.
Because he's like, it's Pikachu, you know, they had to do him. I just think that the Pikachu shiny was always a miss when it came to like the shiny design. And it always felt like
I like the Paldean Fates Pikachu the best, I think, out of all the shiny Pikachu cards.
Well, he's like, the only one. He's the other than this one, he's the only other shiny.
Okay.
There's no others, so you don't have other options. So
all right, fair enough.
That's the only reason that shiny Pikachu is holding up so well is because it's a shiny Pikachu and people want shinies. So like, if you're a shiny collector, you need Pikachu and you only have a gold star, so you need another one. I just don't like the direction they took this one, and it just feels like it was like it wasn't compulsory. It was like, or it felt like it was compulsory. Like they just had to do it. It wasn't like they wanted to, they had to, you know what I mean? And I like the color. It looks good with the card. I think Pikachu always looks good on the yellow card, but just the orange never did it for me for Pikachu. I never liked the shiny design. I don't love the design of this card. So I think it's a B only because of the species and popularity and the fact that it's one of the only ones, but I don't think it deserves to be.
I think it's a big miss that they didn't change his cheek colors.
Yeah, like something, like make him green or something or whatever. I don't know.
Like you could little accent like that would have really done it. So all right, what do you think about?
Or like the stripe on the tail could have been different or something. I don't know. Something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jolteon. I think it's deserving of to be on the B. I think all evolutions deserve to be on the B with the Vaporeon being a slightly higher tier B plus. But I want to know where you fall on this one because
I'll let you have it. I'll let you have it.
You already know I'm never gonna live. You won't live it down. I won't stop talking about it. It's already the Flareon. I can't keep it out of every other sentence. So that's fair enough. All right. So moving into the we still haven't ranked a single A, which is crazy, or a D, mind you, which is wild. So I do believe Raikou could be a D, but we'll see. All right, we're speaking of our first D rank, Regirock. I believe I'm going to put it as a D before I even hear what you say, but I want to hear what you say in case you can change my mind. But change my mind about Regirock. Tell me why it deserves not to be on D rank.
I can't even find it on TCG Player for some reason, but
Legend Maker or
yeah, it is Legend Maker. You're right.
One of those two.
Here's the thing, like I'm not gonna argue because it's just kind of a rock, but like everybody kind of hates the Regis, but coming off of the heels of Johto and then doing the ancient ruins and doing the unknown stuff where you had to like solve the puzzle, and like I really liked that about Pokemon games. Like I've always been into like ancient Egyptian stuff, and so the Pokemon games like kind of gave that a little bit with the ancient ruins, or what are they called, ruins of Alph in Johto.
Mm-hmm.
I think that stuff's super cool. It's the same thing in Ruby Sapphire with the Regirocks. Like you had to do this stuff and like figure out how to like read Braille or something in the desert in Ruby and Sapphire, and that's how you got access to the Regis. So I actually like the Regis, but D is fine. Long story short, for
the Regis are the worst. So I think that even in Pokemon Go, they were so bad. I hated them. So they're never going to live anywhere higher than a D rank in my mind. So that's a tough sell.
I mean, I'm sure most people would agree with you. I think people are going to be like, Retro is full dust. So
okay, Alakazam is such a G for making it onto this rank. I can't go S, but I can go A.
No, dude, that's oh man, come on.
Okay, so here, let me hear your argument for S because I'm not going to be disagreeing with you, but I can't. You're going to have to understand, how does it make it on the S tier?
dude with the spoons, and then his like it's like an action shot because like half of his I don't even know you like his nose hairs or whatever you would call that. Like one of them is like kind of behind his head. The spoon is coming out of the card. The purple and the yellow. Oh, like dude, Alakazam is an S for me. Like
So
personally, but
I get all of that, and I tend to agree with it. The only thing is, it's Alakazam. First of all, it's Alakazam, and I know that he's one of your favorites, but he isn't a lot of people's favorites. I know that a lot of people have a connection to him though, because he's like the first powerful psychic type besides Mewtwo that you can use. But I think that the artwork on this one and the color of it and like the shiny and like the stance, like you said, it's basically S tier. But the Pokemon itself, to me, it really matters. The Pokemon and I
what?
just
I always felt like Alakazam was super popular. Like people
I
always
mean,
talk.
obviously, look at this list of Pokemon, and the only Pokemon that aren't basically legendaries and that don't fulfill some sort of like starter role are Alakazam and the three Eevees and Pikachu, but Pikachu's a starter. So, and you know the three starters, the Trico, Mudkip, and Torchic. Those are the only starters that are represented. They didn't even do the Blastoise. They did
I
Charizard,
will
but that's Charizard.
begrudgingly let you put this in A.
He's an A plus. So he's an A
Okay. All
plus
right.
with the
All right.
asterisk that he should be an S if he was any other Pokemon. And I believe that Alakazam's popular,
Yeah.
but not popular enough.
Maybe that's just personal love, but I'm a huge Alakazam fan, so all right.
Listen, I love that card
I'll let
too.
you have A plus. I'll let you have A
I
plus.
believe the Alakazam was my first PSA one. I
All
think
right. What
that
about
one was
chicken?
my first PSA one Gold Star.
What
So
about
I have a
chicken?
soft spot for that one too.
Chicken Lil. What do you think about Chicken Lil?
Chicken Little, I think is a solid B. It's a B minus or a C plus. I do think I lean more towards on the B because I really, really like the artwork of this Torchic. Like it's not an exciting shiny, but there's a lot of holo there, and the holo looks really good in person. I don't know if you've ever had the chance of seeing this card in person, but it looks really good, the Torchic popping out. So that little chicken nugget, I think he's a B. I'm inclined to say B, but I would hear an argument for one lower, maybe.
No, I'd take B. I think B's fine.
He's also the first starter. The first gold stars they ever did were those three: the Torchic, Trico, and Mudkip. And I really, really like that they're the first three. That means something to me. That's the one thing about Team Rocket Returns that I like is the gold stars. Ironically, what about Trico? Where are you putting them?
Trico might be a B. It could be an A, but I think it's a B for me personally.
So you're leaning on the higher than Torchic side?
I like it slightly more than Torchic, but for me, Mudkip is A.
That's funny. So okay, so I'm going to agree with you on the Mudkip. Mudkip, you and I are in 100% agreement on, mostly because Mudkip, that little guy, is such a popular Pokemon, such a high sell-through rate, and I know how cute he is, and I just love that little dude because all the memes. He's definitely an A tier for me, and also because he's one of the first. The blue on blue matches really well. All these things. Trico, on the other hand, I've just never been a Trico stan. Like I hate to say it, but poor Sceptile just gets the short end of the stick. I'm softer on Trico than I am on the other two. I have to say Trico's a C for me. I think he's the only one to see.
The reason I like Trico is because it's like it looks like an actual gecko. Like it looks like a sort of expression that like an actual gecko would have. Like it's not really happy. It's kind of stern and like it looks like nature to me. So that's why I would give it a B. But I'm okay with a C if Mudkip can have A.
Yeah, I think that's a fair ranking, and I agree with that too. And I think that if anyone doesn't understand why Mudkip's an A, I don't know, just look at the card. It's a good looking card. It's a really cool card, and I haven't actually seen this one in person. And like I said about the Torchic, I think the Torchic really pops in person. But I can imagine that the 3D kind of look that this one has looks really good in person. So this is one that I think deserves to be like an A minus, but I do think it's an A. All right, what about Mewtwo here? Can I want to have you start this one off, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
Mewtwo's an A for me. It's not quite an S, but it's an A. I would give it an A for sure.
Okay, okay. So I'm on an S. I'm on an S with Mewtwo.
All
So
right.
the reason being here, let me play the argument out just to hear me out because I do think that there's an argument for him to be an A too, but the argument for the S is the same argument I've been making for a lot of these other S ranks that I'm going to mark is the coloration of the shiny, the green and yellow. I think just or the green and the yellowy green with the purple looks really really nice on the card. I also really like the animation or the art on the particular Mewtwo, like the stance. I think it's really good action shot of Mewtwo. He doesn't look kind of derpy or his thighs don't look like they're taking up the entire shot like sometimes they do. He doesn't give me like weird like Kim Kardashian vibes, which I sometimes get from other Mewtwo's. So
Yeah, no, the art is sick. For the only reason it wouldn't be an S for me is literally just the colorway.
I
That's
like the colorway though, so I kind of think that's what elevates it to me. So I don't know the popularity of the Pokemon, what it is, the shiny design. I think the gold looks really clean on the Psychic type, which is the same reason I love the Alakazam. I think this one deserves to be like an S. I really do.
I'll let you have it. I'll let you have it. Yeah, that's
I
fine.
I think you could make an argument for an A though, and so we may end up moving it down because I think that the next one, even though I'm not a Rayquaza lover, I think is an S tier. Like,
Yeah, for
I,
sure.
I,
I'm a huge
this is
Rayquaza
not
fan.
taking the population into account, literally anything into account. It's just the style in which he was drawn in this one is so unique compared to other Rayquazas, which he just literally looks like a snake, like a long S, like in a big field or in a big
Yeah.
space. I think this is such a dynamic and moving
It looks
photo.
so much better on Japanese though, with the white border and the silver card. I think for like the black of the Rayquaza pops so much more.
I like them both. I mean, I personally am more. Obviously, you already know the English stuff is where I like the gold stars
Yeah,
better in
yeah,
English,
yeah.
even that one. But I can understand people liking them in Japanese because they're really really hard to get back then. Yeah, I think this is an S tier. I don't think anyone's going to argue with us on that one. Some people might accuse us of just being fanboys and saying it is what it is, but I actually no one's going to accuse us of. Look at the rest of this list. No one's going to accuse us of just being fanboys. So okay, yeah, I think Rayquaza deserves an S tier on there.
Yeah,
You're not
Rayquaza.
gonna like where I put Metagross. I think it's a C tier, man. I know I want to hear me change my mind. I'm willing to hear it, but I just can't see what he's doing. I like shiny Metagross. His silver is cool and it looks good on the card, but I don't like the art. I can't. He's like flat. What is he doing? Is he flat? Like a
He
pancake or
might be
something?
flying, which is weird as hell to me that Metagross can. I had no idea that he could
They
fly.
levitate. Yeah, he levitates. He's a
Yeah,
psychic, so.
yeah, it's weird as hell to me. But uh, what did you say? C?
I say C, yeah. I say C, and I want it to be in a D tier because I just don't care about it. Actually, I take it back. I said that Alakazam was the only non-legendary. I forgot Metagross is on this list.
I'll
He's
give it
not a
a.
legendary.
I'll give it a. Yeah, C's fine.
Like they
C's
had
fine.
Metagross when they could have had Tyranitar. That's what I gotta say. Or
Oh,
Dragonite.
Dragonite Gold Star would have been so insane. Yeah, all right, we'll give it a C. We'll give it
Okay,
a C.
C, I think it's fine. C's fine. Reggie, that's a D. I mean, for me, Regice, it's a D. It's just look at the artwork too.
Kyogre's a C for me.
I don't like it.
It's got like the dirt. Like if you zoom in and look at the teeth, it's got like little derpy, tiny. I just can't take. I love Kyogre as a Pokemon, but like the teeth just throw me off. It reminds me of the manatee from Elf. That's like, bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad. Like that.
putting him in the C rank and having Entei in the B rank feels really weird to me, but we'll roll with it. We'll roll with it. Okay,
It's also off center, which is like
that's a
get.
little weird. Yeah, it's weird that he's kind of off to the side, but I mean,
Yeah,
that's how they all kind of are a little bit. Like so, it's the Rayquaza a
the
little bit.
colorway's sick though. Like especially the orange going through his like fins. The
I
colorway
like
is
I like shiny Kyogre a lot because of Pokemon Go. Really, really powerful water type attacker. Really fun raids. I had a lot of good time rating him. So I'm maybe biased towards Kyogre. So I want him to be in the B, but maybe I guess C is fine. Okay. Suicune. Suicune, how do you say it?
I love Suicune. This is not like my favorite Suicune art in the world. I might give it a C.
I mean, as far as the three dogs are concerned, I do think this is the best of the three. I think this is the only one that deserves to be on the B tier, but it wouldn't be by much. I feel like if we have this one, I think putting on the C is fine, but it just feels weird having Entei up there and then this one not, because I like this one.
I mean, we can put it. I'm not mad at it on B. It's my favorite dog for sure. But
I think it deserves to be on B, but I would like to trade the Entei for the Suicune if you'd be willing to make a swap, because it would make me feel better about having it.
All right.
What do you think about that? I think that's a fair trade, right?
Yeah, all right.
That feels better to me. The list is feeling better already about that with that trade right there. Okay.
All right.
Now, if we could do something about that Flareon, that would be really good then. Okay. Anyway, Registeel.
I'm firm on the Flareon. Okay, Registeel, yeah, I mean, sorry, bud. But
yeah, we already know where that's going. It's a D rank. Sorry, Reggies. I think they may be our only D ranking Pokemon on this list, possibly. We'll see where Greninja or Umbreon or Espeon end up.
Oh, Espeon would have been like S for me.
Yeah, Espeon's an S tier for sure.
Yeah.
I think the Espeon's really good.
Yeah.
Umbreon's also pretty darn good. I think it's an A tier.
Yeah, I'd give it. I'd 100% agree. Espeon S, Umbreon A, Greninja. Hold on, let me look back at Greninja. Okay.
Hold on Greninja. We're gonna do that one on the very last. So we're gonna put the Espeon in the S, because I do believe the Espeon's S tier because it's the best evolution shiny of all of them. The green, such a good shiny, and that card is so iconic and beautiful. And I know we said we weren't going to go with like any population reports or anything like that, but it's so rare. It is so rare. It is so cool just how little that someone like me who's been in the hobby has ever even seen with my own eyes copies of that card. So that will make it an S tier for me. And I know that's a little bit of a bias, but I think the artwork's great on it too. If it only had a holo, that would make it better. Umbreon, on the other hand, where do you want to put Umbreon at?
Umbreon, yeah, I'd agree. I'd give Umbreon A.
Yeah, and I think so too. I think it's a great art, and I think the Umbreon Gold Star, because of once again the same reason the Espeon, how rare it is, or how rare it was before celebrations. I think it's a rare case where the celebrations reprint made it less desirable to me. So like I liked not seeing that Umbreon ever, and when I started seeing it everywhere because of the celebrations reprint, it made me devalue that Umbreon Gold Star. So that's what makes it an A to me, which is weird. I think the artwork is also I think the shiny is just okay. Like the Umbreon shiny is pretty good.
It's just the ears.
It's the rings, yeah.
On the ears.
The blue rings, yeah, instead of the yellow.
It's cool. I like blue. Like blue's probably one of my favorite colors. But yeah, I give it an A.
I've always liked the non-shiny version of Umbreon better than the shiny, which is weird to me. I usually like the shiny versions more. So
the Espeon art though is like I just like population and all that other stuff aside. The Espeon art is just so much cooler than the Umbreon one to me. It's like dashing, and the background is like, I don't know what that's called, but like when the background is out of focus because something's moving fast, like that. I don't know. The Espeon just hits.
It's really good. Yeah, it's a good one. I like the Espeon, and I think it's a little bit harder to find than the Umbreon these days are too. So it's kind of a cool one. Looking at the list.
Wait, last one, Greninja.
Yeah, we still have to place Greninja. I think I know where I want to put it, but I want to hear your thoughts on it because I had an idea going forward.
You know what's funny? I don't think maybe I'm dusted, but I don't think they released this in Japanese. I think this is an English exclusive.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. And if that's the case, that's really cool. I wasn't aware of that.
Let me look at it again. I actually really like Greninja.
Same.
Yeah, now that I'm looking, like, I'm not mad at this, dude. I'm really not mad at art-wise, like popularity-wise, maybe not. Price-wise, definitely not. Art-wise, though, I might have to give this dude an A.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I want to put it on the B plus A minus range. I don't think it deserves to be on the A. Like if you were to see Umbreon on this A, and then you put the Greninja up there next to those and you have those 4 as our A, I don't think that it quite makes the other 3 look better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair
But
enough.
I do think it's pretty close. So I think it could be argument could be made for like an A-. I want to put it as a B+ though.
All right. I just like Greninja in general as a Pokemon. Like, I don't know anything about him. I haven't seen any of the anime with him, so I don't have any connection that way. But like,
Same.
again, it's like fighting type. A lot of his arts are really cool. I'm a Greninja fan for sure. So
Yeah, and looking at this list, I mean, it looks like it's a pretty decent list. I do feel like, judging from it, there's not very many bad arts. Like, obviously, there's not very many bad arts. I think that the Reggies were the easiest thing to place as Ds. I think some of those Cs could be made into Bs, and I think maybe 1 or 2 of those Bs could be made into As even. So I think our list is a little bit harsh on some things, but I like it. I think it's a good list.
yeah, I do too. Let us know what you think in the comments below, whether you think we're completely dusted or whatever. My only like reservation with this is like I still think Alakazam deserves an S, but it's all right. It's all right that it's an A. It's okay. I'll live.
Our A rank is really weird. Like having the Umbreon, Mudkip, and the Alakazam as the A's, I think it's a really weird. That's the weirdest of the ones, I think.
I mean, looking back at it, I wouldn't be mad if Vaporeon was an A. I like
Yeah,
that
I
art.
think that out of the evolutions, I think any of them being an A, it could be like an A- of Vaporeon. I think it would
Yeah.
fit on that list probably. Same thing with the Mew. I think the Mew could maybe fit on the list too, but
Maybe, but not for me personally.
yeah, and we're gonna leave the list as it is. Obviously, everyone's gonna have a little different thoughts, and it could have went a little different direction depending on how easy or not easy we wanted to budge on certain things. But I think it's a fun list, and it was a fun little practice there. So
yeah, I like this one. All
right, cool. All right. Well, let's go into let's just go into the invest, flip, or skip, because our bonus topic today, we're going to talk about whether kids were different in the hobby today than they were back in the 90s or whatever, like when we were into it. But I think that's a whole other thing, so we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, we can talk about it on the next live we do, and then
that'll
get some interaction from the chat too, because they can be like, "Oh yeah, like when I was a kid, XYZ." I mean, some of the people in the chat might actually have kids that are into Pokemon.
Yeah, and they'll be able to they'll probably have much more input than we will on that sort of thing if that's the case. But all right, going into invest, flip, or skip for this week. This one, moving into nostalgia. We're doing a whole nostalgia episode, so I wanted to pick 3 things that have sort of died off in popularity that I think are really, really cool, that I loved back when I was a kid, that just didn't quite catch like the rest of those collectibles did. So invest, flip, or skip this week is between our favorite Beanie Babies, your favorite, maybe your favorite, my favorite Beanie Babies, Pogs, and Yo-Yos. So I don't have any Pogs handy, but I do have some crazy merch for some of the other stuff. My Princess Diana bear.
This stays close to my workstation to remind me to just always be a dirty flipper. So
that was Retro's Christmas gift from me this year. His Secret Santa Christmas gift. Or that wasn't a Secret Santa because he knew who it was. It was like a Christmas gift, but
yeah,
it's a Beanie Baby old flipper. Or what is his name?
Glide.
Yes.
Glide. Yeah.
I wish his name was Flipper. That would be just perfect. But
yeah, I'm not mad at Glide though. It's like kind of like keep it pushing, glide through life, take life kind of easy. But all right, real quick, I'll be quick with mine. Yo-yos, dude. Yo-yos, like I remember when I was a kid. This is so dorky to even say, but like I remember it for an assembly. This like professional yo-yoer.
Yeah, dude, they were a thing, bro. They were professionals.
I remember that, dude. And I mean, I must have been like 6 or 7, but I just remember like me and all my friends were like, "Oh my god, that's the coolest thing ever."
Okay.
I sucked. I could never do any of the cool tricks or what. I couldn't
You
do
know,
it.
there were different yo-yos for different tricks that were
Yeah,
specialized for different. There were like some for
100%.
flying, for like, you know, doing the crazy.
Yeah,
Some for sleeping, the sleeper ones where they would
yeah.
go and
Where it
like,
would sit and spin. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, dude.
I
I
remember.
had so many yo-yos. I had a carrying case with different yo-yos and stuff. It with the foam in there. It was crazy. I wish I still had it.
Man, what a time. What a time. But unfortunately, yo-yos are a skip for me.
Skip.
I don't think they're gonna do anything. I don't know if kids are still playing with yo-yos. They're a skip for me. I think the Pokemon one is sick though. That's cool.
You
I like
telling me
that.
I'm not going to get rich off of this thing?
PSA will probably grade that here pretty soon. Pogs. I can't remember if I mentioned it on the podcast, but when I went to that
Hawaii,
Hawaiian,
you did. I
yeah,
thought
dude,
about
that
you.
guy
You're
was
like,
like, dog. He was like, I was buying lots of Pogs on eBay because for whatever reason, and kids were like playing Pogs, and he like made good money flipping Pogs. So I guess I would have to flip Pogs. I don't know anything about them, but flipping Pogs, I'm investing in Beanie Babies, bro. Like we're investing, we're holding for the long term. I was gonna make a Beanie Baby video a long time ago and never got around to it. But I actually have a decent amount of Beanie Babies from when I was a kid that were chilling in my mom's. How stupid was I? I didn't sell the Beanie Babies. I sold the Pokemon binder. Like, what a dummy. But
I
at
am in
some
the
point,
same boat.
I might start listing some of these Beanie Babies on eBay and sell them for $5 or whatever they're worth. But
I have the hardest time being in Beanie Baby. I'm in a Beanie Baby group on Facebook just for the shits and giggles. Because the funniest thing to me is watching people who get in the group and they post pictures of their thing and they think they have a lot. And they're like, I found these old collectibles in my
Reg,
mom's.
yeah.
Yeah, and how much are these things worth? I know what I have. You know, don't try to lowball me. And it's legitimately the funniest comments I've ever seen. And it's just like people arguing in the comments. One person will say they're worth nothing, and another person will say, don't listen to these people who say they're worth nothing. They're worth what people will pay. They're priceless to me. And then someone else will be like, yeah, well, they're priceless to you, but they're worth literally less than $1 each to someone who wants to pay for them. And then they'll just argue in the comments back and forth for literally hours. And I will be one of those people fly on the wall watching because I can't help myself. It's so funny. So yeah, I'm also investing in Beanie Babies. I'm right there with you on that one because I'm invested in Beanie Babies, whether I like it or not.
Maybe I should reduce my exposure. Maybe I'll sell them and give my mom like half the money or something, and yeah, just take my selling costs and stuff. But I think they're cool. Like when she pulled them out, because I told her I was gonna make a video, she pulled them out, and I was like, okay, I can see why people were into these. Like some of these are cute. They have cool releases. Like we have one that's like a bear, and it's like he's in like a pilot outfit, and it's like for 100 years of flight, like the Wright Brothers Museum or something. Like that's cool. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff is cool. And Pokemon is doing the same kind of stuff, right? Like Van Gogh Museum, like those sort of historical references. It's like, okay, like this had potential to be, but like I think Ty got too greedy, you know, maybe some tax evasion or like, I don't entirely, but I can see why people were into them because everybody still, I mean, dude, look at Squishmallows. Like they just came out with like, I think it's Azumarill or Meryl and Dragonite. People are going to go nuts for those. Like Squishmallows are just little chonky Pokemon.
They're like $30 for a Squishmallow. You can get like 30 Beanie Babies from the 90s for $30 instead of one Squishmallow.
Value, bro.
Fundamentals.
Older, rare mints are better. But no, man, like it just, people are never going to not, like it doesn't matter how digital stuff goes. Kids and adults, weirdly enough, are always going to like stuffed animals. It just is what it is. So I don't know. I can definitely see why people were into them for sure in the 90s. Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you on the other two, though. So while I'm right there with you on Beanie Babies, I can't skip yo-yos. Like Pogs, I remember from when I was a kid, but even back then, I thought Pogs were whack. I never understood them. It was like a crappy game of marbles, basically. So I was always a skip with Pogs when I was a kid, and I'm certainly a skip now. But yo-yos, I feel like I feel like you could definitely do something flipping with the yo-yos. Like there's somewhere where like yo-yos could become popular with kids again because like it's timeless. It's a fun thing. It's like a thing. Maybe they're not like collectible or something. So that's why I'm not saying invest yo-yos, but like there's gotta
Bro,
be
we didn't have smartphones back then. That's why we played with yo-yos.
but that's the thing about a yo-yo is it's physical. It's a physical thing that's like
Dude, kids
it's
these days
active.
don't like physical stuff. They can't even get on the
I disagree
phone.
with that.
They're scared to even talk to people on the phone. Like
I
they're
disagree
not.
with that. I don't have kids to know this for a fact, but I don't think that kids don't like physical things anymore. I think that you're right. They're on screens more than they ever were before. But I think that there's still a desire for like a real tangible like thing. So like I don't know. I'm flipping yo-yos because I think kids don't change, and I think you could sell kids a yo-yo today and in 2,000 years, and Pogs on the other hand, I don't know about that.
Okay, this is nuts. I'm on eBay really quick, and I looked up there. I guess some of these. I mean, I don't know what any of this stuff is, but there are, I guess, some rare yo-yos that are selling for like $500 to $800.
That's what I'm saying, man. Okay. So back when I was buying Pokemon cards,
This one's
there
sick,
were
dude. Hold on.
kiosks in the mall that I would go to buy Pokemon cards where there was a yo-yo kiosk and they had expensive yo-yos. I couldn't buy the yo-yos I wanted at those kiosks because I would always have to get the cheaper ones, but they had the ones in the cases that were like way nicer and like specialty, like branded, all this stuff that was like I'm sure there are nice yo-yos, I'm definitely flipping those.
So I sent you in the chat. This sold for $409. It looks like it's a Japanese promotional, but it's a Coca-Cola 7-Eleven collaboration, and it's like a box set of all these different Coca-Cola. They got like a Sprite, a Fanta, a few different Coca-Colas. Like
Oh my gosh.
it's
It's
like
signed by someone though.
yeah, I don't. It's just goofy.
It's
That's
actually
funny, man.
signed, so maybe that's why it sold.
That's a bolo right there. It looks like there's a decent amount of those. So if you guys find Coca-Cola yo-yos at your local thrift store, you might have come across a gold mine. So be
That's
on
the
the
thing,
lookout.
like with collectibles, you never know. You really never know, what you're gonna.
Well, that was actually one thing I learned from Tekken Sports a long time ago. Because people were asking him like, "How do you know so much about so many different categories?" And he's like, "I don't need to know everything about video games. I literally will go on eBay, type in PlayStation 2 game, and then sort by highest price so that I know like the top 3 to 5 games that are worth the most to be on the lookout for, basically." You know what I mean? I was like, okay. And he's like, you can learn a lot about a lot of different things just by doing that. Like you do the same thing with like graphic novels or books or whatever. It's just like sort by highest price. Look at what's most. Literally, all I typed into eBay was yo-yo. Went to sold listing. So like just kind of interesting that all that stuff still has
I
so
was
much money in
today's
collectibles.
year old when I learned what bolo meant. Thank you for that.
Yeah, dude, it's so nuts to me like how much money is in collectibles, like dusted collectibles, like yo-yo, like bro, you could buy for $800, like that's a top spec. We need to get Swami out here. Top spec, like $800 yo-yo, or like pick some like random Pokemon card or something that you could get in PSA 10 for $800. Like what are you specking on? Like it's just nuts what people like. Human psychology is so it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. God bless
Human
America.
psychology doesn't work that way. You can't. Humans don't look at like I could have this or this and put them next to each other, and they don't look at value that way. Because if we did, I would have gone to Japan several times, and I wouldn't have been at Disneyland like 3 times last year, 4 times last year, or whatever. So like this is not how people think of things. Like you don't think of it out as you're out buying your cup of coffee once or twice a week that adds up to $30 a month, and that could be this instead, and that you would rather have this other thing instead. You don't think of it like that in the moment. That's just not how psychology works. So while it's easy to look at it in hindsight, but I just think that's just never how it's going to work. So I understand it.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know, man. It just this whole world is just because I just was not into collectibles for my entire life. Like I was not, it was not something I was into. My family doesn't really like collect anything or whatever. Like it was never, and to come into this world, start again with Pokemon cards and then go down all these rabbit holes on all these different things that I've researched and how much money is out there sloshing. And then, watching the Golden Show and seeing all these different things that people are paying for. And it's like, I think like there's a lot of stuff I think is cool. Like one of the things they saw on the Golden Show was Michael Jackson's studio notes. Like that's fire to me. Like that's really cool. Like I can see why somebody would want to have it. But it's just nuts how much money is out there sloshing around in these sentimental, historical, sometimes objects too. But
and sentiment changes too. Sentiment can change as well in a lot of this stuff. So
yeah, 100%. Rest in peace to all of the 3 items on our invest flip skip flip. So.
Listen, one of them, and apparently 2 of them, the yo-yos, is still going somewhat strong. And like I said, there's a big group of Beanie Baby people. It's just the group of the Beanie Baby people. It's all people who have them and think that they're. It's such a weird dynamic in that group. I highly recommend if anyone is like has more time than they need, check out that Beanie Baby Facebook group once in a while just to look at what it's like, the types of people, and it's so funny. I at least get so much entertainment looking at that once in a while. It's a funny thing to kind of follow. So,
I'm sure it's great. But
real quick before
we end it off, I have to say I don't even know how many episodes deep we are at this point. We stopped keeping track a while ago, but I just wanted to thank you for having me as your co-host. You took a chance on me way back when I had no following, no sort of name at all, and you and Flex were like had big followings. So I appreciate you always putting up with me and keeping me around. So I just want to throw that out there.
No, I appreciate that. No, I honestly, it didn't even occur to me at all when I approached you. Basically, our interactions have always been really positive, and I don't care at all about anyone's platform, really. And I just really, really appreciate what you bring to the table in our discussions. And I always have. And that's always been that way. Like, even when we weren't co-hosts on a podcast and we just butted heads in Discord all the time, I always really appreciated your takes on things. And so I appreciate you sticking through all of this and, like, sticking it out with us. Because, like, it started off with just me and Flex, and now it's me and you. And shout out to Flex if you're listening right now. You're obviously always welcome to guest and come on whenever you want. We always want you on here. But I'm really happy that you stuck through with it too, because I think that the content we're pumping out now is some of our best content consistently that we've ever made. And I guess it was from taking a chance, but I never looked at it like that. So I appreciate you sticking through as well. So thanks for that. But no need to say anything at all, honestly. That being said, though, I also want to say thank you, the listener, for watching, because if you have gone through, what is it, like 30, 40 something episodes at this point of the podcast, if you've been through even one of those episodes and you've watched to this point, thank you. You're the best. And I hope we've provided you at least some form of entertainment, maybe a little bit of education, more entertainment than anything. And until the next week, we will be live next week on Retro's channel. So make sure you go follow him, because we do every other week we switch off on our channels. So, either let the algorithm run it or just give us a follow and the subscription. It would highly, highly help both of us if you subscribe to Retro's channel. We're trying to get him monetized to 1,000 subs, and we're almost there. So we'll just keep plugging along for that. But if you have any last words or anything, that's all I have to say. But
no, well, I would say, like, drop in the comments with some encouragement for Josh to film some card show content this weekend for sure, because we need more, especially now that Brandon Martin's not doing the vlogs, dog. Like, come on, we need some. I'm gonna try to film some stuff this weekend for sure. But I appreciate you guys for sure. If you do want to give us a subscribe, that'd be cool. It'd be nice to get to 1,000, but I got to start pumping out videos regularly
I
to
steadily gain. I gain whenever I put out a new video. I gain a few subs and then I lose a few subs. It's every
yeah.
time. It's like I'm
Yeah.
on that equilibrium right now. So if you're listening and you haven't subbed, you know, if you want to sub, that'd be fun. That'd be nice. It makes me feel good. It's just kind of funny saying like gain and lose, gain and lose. It's like we're on that game.
Who is
right
like,
now.
dude? It's like someone has to like be like hate watching, or it's like who is subbing to you and then being like, nah, I'm unsubbing. It's like, come on, dog. Like, come on, man. Like,
I say some things sometimes that when that happens, I just imagine someone literally like as they're listening to the podcast, literally I say something and they just pause the video and they're like, nope, that's the last straw, and then they unsubscribe. Like it was like something I said that's like, that's it, that was the last thing he said. So much, this is it. That's what I imagine every time.
I know. Maybe that is the case, but it is funny because I'll jump up to like 792, check 3 days later, and it's like 789. Then it'll jump up 791, 790. It's like come
Keep
on, man.
grinding, baby. Keep grinding, because that's
Yeah.
just the nature of the beast. Yeah. But if you're
All right, both
watching,
of us.
thank you.
That's a goal for both of us. Like if we don't make card show content this weekend, if we don't make us at least a little vlog this from our experiences vending this weekend, y'all got to just cut us up next week when we go live. So
Well, I have a reason. Like there's this box that's whatever. This box right here is a box full of old sports cards that my dad kind of left to me in the garage. Me and my sister in the garage, and he's like, "Hey, look through that stuff, but don't just sell it to someone. You got to get the good stuff out of it." He's like, "Because I know there's some valuable cards in there." So he didn't want to give it to anyone but me because he knew my sister would just sell it, and because she doesn't know anything about cards, and he knows I know about Pokemon, but he knows it's not. But he's like, he made sure that I knew to look through it first before getting rid of it so that I could get the value. So I'm going to take it to this show and I'm going to ask someone to help me look through it. I'm not going to sell it or anything until I can like look through it, but I have friends at the show. So you may see a little video with like some sports coming out, maybe on someone else's channel, but maybe on mine too. We'll see. So
you heard it here first. Josh is becoming a sports bro.
Definitely not. It's just that's my roots. Like I did start collecting sports, so like I have sports stuff like signed baseballs of like my favorite players from when I was younger, and like, you know, old rookie cards from like my desk when I was younger, like King Griffey Jr. kind of stuff. But when I found Pokemon, I dropped sports. Like it's like the Toy Story meme, like the kid dropping the old toy and like the new toy being Buzz Lightyear's Pokemon. That was me. So sorry, Woody, but Pokemon was where it was all me. Anyway, thanks again. This will be the actual outro. We appreciate you guys listening, and we will I'll try to get this uploaded tonight, so then you can it'll be a nighttime upload and you can look at it tomorrow, listen to it at work, whatever you do. But thanks again, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.